Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Experimented by Villains and Becomes the Most Bloodlusted Monster Part 1. Before we start, please go support ancalagonintheblack for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Deku is a male in this story. Chapter 1. At the UA, the most prestigious academy of all, certain things were taking place, such as meetings where people, that is, teachers, would get together to talk, but above all to have some things in common, especially when it comes to certain cases, such as their students, with whom they were only trying to reach an agreement on a very important matter. All might. Now why are we getting together this time? Nezu. Well, I have something important to show you all, especially since it concerns a matter of extreme importance. Izawa. That answers why there are more heroes who are not teachers in this place. He said this while looking at those present who were just standing there calmly without doing anything about it. Endeavor. I already told you, director, what's going on, otherwise I swear I'm leaving this place. Nezu. There's no need for such a thing, this is about the League of Villains. By saying that, he began to confuse everyone until he revealed a box where he could only take out some things, being recordings like photos where the young Izuku Midoriya only delivered things to the League of Villains. All might. But what does this mean? Nezu. And that's not all there is to see, there's more, especially from the recordings we have in these parts. He said this as he began to show the recordings where the young man was only making deals with the League of Villains, as they were talking about the attacks as they should be, and what the young man had to do so that they would not suspect him in exchange for giving him the rather large bag of money, something that he accepted, arousing the anger of some, while others tried to analyze things. All might. This must be impossible, my successor cannot accept things like this. Endeavor. It's true, I help my son to be able to control himself, it's impossible for him to be the traitor of the UA. Hawks. That's what I wanted to believe from the beginning, but unfortunately there are other things that I regret to inform you that were not so easy to have. He said this as he began to show some parts where the professional had certain interrogations with the League of Villains, being that these same ones, being the Tartars, affirmed the things that happened with the young man, although they put up a little resistance for this very reason. All might. He actually did something like this, that miserable wretch, I put my faith in him, but he pays me back by joining the villains in the worst way possible. Ectoplasm. We must catch him as soon as possible, we can't let things like this happen. Present Mick. Then I agree that we should go for him as soon as possible. He must be tired right now. Let's catch the wretch before he escapes from our hands. All might. Wait a moment, we can't just rush in like reckless animals who just want to destroy whatever's in front of them. Present Mick. What are you saying? Endeavor. That's right, you just saw how he played with all of us regardless of the consequences. All might. I know, but just try to think about them better, remember that he is very thoughtful, he has plans that he puts together in seconds or much less, he sees how we can change from one moment to another, that is why knowing about our quirks and the fact that I am retired is able to keep us in check, we must think calmly and not move like idiots like that brat thinks that way. Endeavor. It's true that we have no choice but to move that way, we must think with a cool mind, otherwise we could end up pretty badly. All might. Then let's start things as soon as possible, otherwise everything can get worse. They began to make plans as much as possible to achieve good results, while certain people only thought about certain things, not believing what they saw. Izawa's thoughts. This is bad, my offspring can't be like this, he can't stay like this because he knows all my offspring, and that is false. Nezu's thoughts. It doesn't make sense. Muscular, like other villains, is able to know big secrets and keep them, but reveal things as if it were nothing. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth. They must be planning something special. Sniper's thoughts. I guess I just have no choice but to think he's innocent, that young man managed to ruin his plans, and I think there are errors in those recordings. I need to start looking for them as soon as possible to prevent this from truly being a bloodbath. The teachers only thought that while in another place some people were training, being Kirishima, Izuku, Momo, Kendo, Mei, Tesu, Mina. Sayu and Shinso doing their best to improve, being that they trained in secret because they discovered how among themselves they achieved greater things than with the rest of their classes, becoming quite good friends, although certain girls were secretly in love with a green-haired boy, although the bad thing is that he already had a relationship with a Chaku Uraraka, something bad for certain. Reasons that they knew, but they were going to let the green-haired young man see it with his own eyes. Sayu. We are getting better and better at this kind of thing. Kirishima. It's true, we're getting stronger no matter what. Shinso. Although we still have a long way to go to improve if we really want to be sure of the things we will be able to do in the future, because, to be honest, we can't move in a foolish way. Izuku. Calm down, we're good at this, we can keep improving. Shinso. I'm just trying to prevent things. Momo. Although we can meet more often, you know, to improve further. Kendo. That's true, I guess that can't be a bad thing. Tesu. Well, if we can keep things under control then we can get together more often. Izuku. Well, it's time to go before they get suspicious. He said it with a smile towards the group who had the same smile without knowing that soon everything was going to change. The days went by, and the situation of a traitor Izuku at UA made people start to be bad, but in the sense of hating him, since in truth some people, like almost the entire class, only got quite angry, and little by little, they distanced themselves from the green-haired boy. The family of this Izuku Midoriya, like Izuku Midoriya, moved further away from him, but that did not become the most painful. But the worst part, Eri, Kota, the big three, everyone increasingly took more distance from the young green-haired boy, who could not understand why they began to do that kind of things. The group that hung out with this same boy only came to separate little by little, with excuses that they were only trying to do school things, something that was a lie, making the young man have no choice but to start training alone as he was before being something bad, but he had no choice. The girls who once fell in love with him now tried to deny their feelings and go to reason as much as possible to be able to keep things under control, being an internal struggle where they destroyed each other like that same, although little by little, everything got worse since, despite the fact that the teachers who believed in the young man's innocence were looking for evidence to set him free. Since they found small errors, it was not enough to convince them all, apart from the fact that they had no idea when they were going to attack him, making things worse, and time was running out more and more. Now that green-haired man was only in his group's training place, although now he was alone. Izuku. Well, let's keep training, although it's a shame that they don't continue in this part. At that point I heard footsteps like a voice approaching the same place. Uraraka. You seem a little busy, Deku-kun. Izuku. Hey Ichako, it seems like you just came to see me. Uraraka. Yes, but I have something to do. The girl took the young man by the arm to use her quirk on him, confusing him for moments until he failed to react to a pillar of ice that hit him squarely, sending him flying and falling to the ground without feeling that something had pulled out a hair on him, making All Might stand there watching to eat him, regaining his previous form. All Might. Not bad, I feel much better now with my power back. Izuku. What just happened? The young man was about to get up, but a fist from Endeavor that connected with his stomach raised him to the man's chest, who continued with an elbow, causing him to just hit the floor, making him spit blood. Izuku. What the hell was that? Endeavor. It was justice that fell to you. At that he kicked him, sending him crashing into a wall, causing him to spit out more blood, only for him to see how Class A, Class B, the Big Three, and even teachers and professional heroes began to go against him, although what caused him pain was seeing the look of hatred from his group towards him, like Uraraka, who was with Bakugo, indicating that they were a couple, confirming with a kiss. Izuku. What's going on? I can't understand it. All Might. What happened was that we were smarter than you could have ever been before. Izuku. How? And that they showed the evidence surprising the young man for such a thing, but he was unable to react in time, thanks to a blow from Kirishima, along with Tesu who were angry. Kirishima. You just used us as a test. Tesu. My trust was in you. The young man moved away a little, but ended up receiving another laser attack that came from Mei's machine that only looked at the young man with fury. Mei. You like my baby because I made it especially for you. The young man gave a cry of pain which he couldn't continue because of a kick from Tsayu, so that in the end, Shinso took him with his bandages covering his face. Shinso. I hope you like this gift we had preparing for you for a while. At that point Momo with a bar and kendo went against him and started hitting him everywhere. Momo. I can't believe I could have actually had feelings for you, you were really the first person I trusted. Kendo. I thought that almost everyone who wanted to be with me was the same, but when I thought differently about you, now you jump at me with this. The girls with tears and anger hit the young man who was now bleeding until All Might arrived and delivered a blow that sent him into the middle of the entire group that made a space for him. Uraraka. What's next, teacher? All Might. I want you to go against him without mercy, don't let him move. Bakugo. It's going to be a pleasure for me to do this kind of thing. Lita. You don't need to tell me, Professor. Todoroki. I'm unsure whether to freeze you or burn you, you might like some of these options more since you tested my power a while ago. Endeavor. Give it with fire. Todoroki. Shut your mouth, bad father. Jiru. I guess if we can avoid holding back then we'll go all out. In that way they attacked him left and right where the young man was only suffering for such a thing without being able to do anything about it since he had no choice but to endure each attack he was receiving, fists, kicks, everything was going against him, getting to the point of feeling like his muscles were tearing and how his bones were beginning to break, being able to only spit blood. Being that right now there was only Izuku on the floor with a pool of his own blood. Lita. Is he dead? Monoma. touch it with a stick to test it. Endeavor. Dead or not, we should hand him over, that way we will have less problems. All Might. I'll take care of that. I will inform people of your actions today, how you were able to catch a great threat and saved many lives as possible, all thanks to the future heroes of today at UA. With that he began to walk away from the place with the still conscious body of the young man who barely managed to get out of the academy, was seeing how everyone hated him, the people he once saved now only threw things at him, even his family, making this type of matters worse for the young man until he was put in the van. Chapter 2. In the van the guards were only watching All Might, who approached with his usual smile, although he had to try to keep a serious look discreet that was directed towards them, while he began to say a few words to them so that they are able to comply with what the same teacher says. All Might. Listen carefully, you can do whatever you want with it, so use the project with your body. Saying that, the guards nodded and began to leave the place, all while Nezu just stared at this from afar through a window, then turned his gaze back to the room. Nezu. Did you find anything? Sniper. Aside from the things we've discovered so far, no, we need to try to find out where it was made, and it has no markings, where this package was sent from or by whom. Izawa. That makes things worse, and we couldn't stop them from attacking my offspring. Nezu. But he's going to be fine, we just have to try to stay calm. Izawa. It's okay, but they better not do anything bad about it, because otherwise these miserable people are really going to suffer. He said this while on the other hand, as the hours passed, the truck was going through a place that was only found in the forest between some mountains, and they arrived at a secret bunker, where upon entering it, they began to go deeper, until they had some soldiers and even a doctor who approached to see how when he opened the truck, only to see the young man with green hair. Doctor? So we have a new guest. Guard. Yes, All Might personally said that we could use him for this experiment. Doctor. Well, the idiot must know that if we really want to succeed in this experiment, we must use cases like people who have or had a very powerful quirk that is not so easy to control but the opposite. Guard. Well, he informed us that this young man was previously his successor, but he took away his power and is now quirkless. Doctor. Are you talking about One for All? I saw this boy always saving people. At the beginning he didn't know how to use his power correctly, but as time went by he improved a lot in such a short time. I guess we can use it. I want him healed right now. Doctor. I hope this doesn't end badly because we've run out of all our test subjects. Guard. What do you mean we ran out of test subjects? That's impossible. Doctor. Well, the doc sent them one by one as best he could, only for them to end up in the morgue, where he tried to see what went wrong, if their organs or their brains had burst among other things. Well, let's do this as soon as possible. The doctor gave the young man a green light just so he could heal completely, causing them to smile at him for such a thing. As the hours passed, the young man only found himself opening his eyes, noticing how there were people in lab coats doing some things like reports and checking others, only for one to sit and stare at him while having a thoughtful look. Izuku. Where am I? Doctor. It's good that you ask, but I'll only answer your questions if you answer my questions. Izuku. I guess so, depending on the question. Doctor. Well, how does it feel to have One for All inside your body? Izuku. Well, it feels strange, to be honest, I don't know how to explain it. Doctor. I see, then it feels strange. Well, since there is a chance that you will die, you have the right to ask me anything, since I am the one in charge of bringing this project to success. Izuku. Well, I asked a question before. Doctor. Your question is true, it is an abandoned center, or well, a bunker abandoned during the Second World War, and the government had almost no information about this place, and it was as far away from society as possible, so we prepared it with everything we could to carry out a project, and luckily you got into this project. Izuku. What do you mean, a project? Doctor. Well, let's say that thanks to the number of villains being greater than that of heroes, we thought why not make sure that there is no way to stop them, so we thought of the Blood Project. This project is about applying a certain amount of powers in a single person, so that they are capable of using it in full combat, you know, to be able to have a greater advantage in anything. Izuku. I see, and they tried it, I imagine. Doctor. If with a total of 18,432 participants so far and all dead, none managed to survive, those who barely showed a higher life rate, then we knew that they were the people who had or have powerful quirks, those that are not so simple to control, but the opposite is much better. Izuku. What does that have to do with me? I don't have a quirk. Doctor. Maybe not, but that makes things easier because your body was in contact with One for All, you even adapted to an impressive form never seen before, that's why you are my hope of life. Izuku. So you're saying that they're going to experiment on me as much as possible, and if things work out, then they'll just continue with this. Doctor. Exactly, if we manage to control you, because sometimes something goes wrong, we simply think of using you to have control in the society, to do the dirty work that no one else wants to have in their hands. Izuku. And what's so special about that? I say because I really don't understand how you plan to do something like that. Doctor. Well, do you see that part? He said this while pointing to some giant containers in front of the young man. Izuku. Yes, I see them, although it's difficult with one eye working halfway. Doctor. It's true we can't heal you completely, but well, those containers have the powers that we will apply to your body right now. Izuku. Can you tell us what they're going to be? Doctor. Of course, you will be able to absorb energy that is thrown at you like fire or lightning to reserve it or launch it directly. You will be able to destroy everything in your path, and what's more, I have some things that you should like. I personally call it among the quirks as the name Monster Demon. Izuku. Why does it have that name? Doctor. Well, it has some confinements of that dark matter that was previously said to be from demons, but very powerful. If you know the legend of the nine-tailed fox, it was the most difficult to get its DNA to be able to put it in that machine. Capabilities of the same human monster Gear that are truly impressive. Another thing, if you know the fighter Omatakita known as Ashura, has the same as well as more expensive cells to get on the black market like Acnologia, you can already see that it truly is a machine of powers that although evil but great. Izuku. Why are you telling me all this? I mean, there's no point in telling me something that if I find out what they put in me, it will only give me the opportunity to escape. Doctor. Well, for two simple reasons. The first is that you could die in the process, and the second is that you're simply going to be like our pet, which, whether you like it or not, will listen to us. At that point they heard a person approaching. Man. Hey boss, we need to start the project as soon as possible. Doctor. Let's say no more, we've run out of questions and by the way, Death, you'll need this. He said this while handing the young man a mouthpiece, placing it in his mouth, followed by more people putting a respirator on him, only for that man to go to a part where he began to press certain buttons. Man. We're ready to go. Doctor. Well, in that case we're going to do something simple, we'll start with the initials as always. And that they saw how the stretcher where the green-haired man was tied with quite strong leather straps, began to enter a walkway where they simply began to close with iron doors, although inside it the young man was put in water, making him understand why the respirator. Man. Ready, the subject is in the water, all set to continue. Doctor. Well, in that case I want you to start with the next part of the prefect, puncturing and loading the machine. He said this while little by little inside the machine, some needles began to go down and were put into the water to be injected into the boy who came to feel a slight sting all over his body since they were stuck in his legs, arms, abdomen, back, neck and head. Outside the machine through some hoses that connected with it to some fairly large containers, they saw how a black and red liquid began to go towards the machine. Man. Ready, the subject is prepared to receive the shock. Doctor. Even if the process starts right away, you will feel a slight pain. But that he began to touch some buttons followed by lowering a lever, causing that inside the machine being only the inside of a sphere despite the cables among other things began to come out electricity, all while the black liquid began to go through the needles, in which only little by little things were going quite well for everyone except the young man, who despite seeing the currents of electricity was suffering from the pain being the worst thing he could feel in his life, completely being that he had no choice but to endure it despite everything. Man. At the moment the project remains stable. Doctor. Well, in that case let's increase the power. At that point they increased the power, but it was worse inside the machine with a young man who only screamed without being heard, barely managing to stay conscious, but at one point inside the machine it began to make sparks, only for the same thing to happen outside on one of the sides, showing faults due to a bad movement. Man. This is bad, every time the faults increase. Doctor. How is this possible? This project is supposed to have been done right many times. Man. We must shut everything down now, the test subject is as unstable as the machine. Doctor. Then turn everything off immediately right now. People were trying to do something, but the machines only gave off sparks while demonstrating breakdowns. Man. Nothing works, the failures are increasing all the time. They saw that the containers were going to explode at any moment, as well as other parts of the machine that showed signs of exploding at any moment. Doctor. Disconnect everything right now, we can't fail and lose all our years of research. By saying that they tried to go, but there were only some explosions making people unable to do anything about it or even get close, and things were getting worse until everything started to explode, letting out fire like smoke making things worse, as it exploded more and more causing people to fly out even at times the power was cut off, so it would come back on in order to continue with the project. Until the least they wanted happened, the containers like a part of the machine ended up exploding making everything literally go to hell, and when that happened there was only silence. After a while people were taking away the wounded like others who were collecting the disasters, although the doctor was drinking in his office until someone came in. Man. Sir, we have bad news and good news. Doctor. Come with the bad first, I want to know what I'm going to have to suffer. Man. Well, the machine was destroyed like the containers, the test subjects can't be continued to see good results, and the reports were completely lost. Doctor. What about the good ones? I hope it's a shot to my head. Man. In fact the first phase was a success, now he is sleeping. Saying that he put down his drink as he looked at the man in pure shock at that person having a smile. Doctor. What did you say? Man. The first phase of the experiment, the test subject managed to survive the first phase of the experiment, something that had never happened before. But that he just had a smile as he said that while in a room was Izuku with a respirator like a machine taking his pulses. Chapter 3. At the academy there were certain conflicts since months had passed since the attack of the League of Villains took place in the place it was simply throughout the city being Gigantomachia. The high-end Nomus liked the attack on Tartarus a real nuisance as a disaster, and now the worst part was in mind that both parents and students and teachers along with professional heroes were discussing a certain topic. Inko. I already told you, I want to get my daughter out of this academy. I don't want her to be in any more danger. Man 1. It's true, we don't want our children to continue going through bad things. Man 2. We want them to let us go right now. All Might. Please listen, we're trying to come up with solutions, but we don't have much we can do, that attack was massive, and if we want to reassure people, those people could be your children. Woman. But we can't even trust you, but you want to leave our children on the street. But that, things got worse as they were thinking of a way to solve the problem until someone had an idea. Nezu. I think we have a way to keep things under control All Might, and it's a pretty good way. All Might. What are you talking about? Nezu. Good from the dark project. Saying that, the man seemed insecure, but some voices only made things worse. Mitsuki. What is this dark project? Man. They still keep more secrets from us. Nezu. Well, I'll be direct with you, the project is surely one where the government tried to work to have people prepared to do the dirty work that we don't want to do, and that is to kill villains. They are literally people capable of moving based on orders almost like the Nomus, but much more dangerous than the rest, and this same project can be capable of keeping things under control. Man. Then why don't we do that? Let those things go. Izawa. The bad thing about this dark project is that many tests were done, but only one person managed to survive, and for months they have been trying to keep under control something that was successful. Inko. Then I say we do that, let's go if it's a way to get back to our normal lives. Saying that, everyone shouted in the same way, giving them some confidence and putting everyone back into the academy. Nezu. Fine, but we need your children as future heroes to come with us, they must know the project before being released, since they may not like it and they are old enough to give us their opinion. But that, plus the parents didn't show themselves to be so good at thinking, they had no choice but to let them go, even though the principal had a smile, because he was going to show how cruel All Might's steps are to his students. After a while, the UA being Class 2A and 2B, former 3 greats of the UA who had already graduated, apart from having some teachers like professional heroes going around the place, just hoped to find something good. Uraraka. Now that we're sure that the damn traitor Izuku was freed from Tartarus, we should be able to go after him. Lita. It's true we have to catch him. Todoroki. If we don't release this so-called project right now and he doesn't kill it before then. Bakugo. I won't let anyone but me kill him. Izawa. About that, his former partner is not in that part, when he was caught he was sent to this project to find out the results. Sato. But since there was only one survivor then that means he's dead. But that they celebrated although some felt bad inside, since certain girls still could not overcome those feelings for the boy, while the teacher only had a smile for giving them a beautiful surprise. When they arrived they only began to walk as much as possible, in order to have the person in charge of all this. Doctor. Hi, it seems that they just came with students. All Might. Yes, we understand that your project has recently yielded good results, and now we need it. Doctor. If I am aware of everything, please come with me. Saying that, they began to walk in order to find whatever they could. Kendo. And how was this project? Doctor. Well, there were more than 18,000 dead, but they were all prisoners from different places. The last one they gave us was the one who destroyed all the reports after the first phase, and at the same time the only one who managed to survive the first phase. Since then, we have tried to give him orders, although it was not as easy as it was to kill a person. Hiroshima. And why wasn't it easy? Doctor. He refused too much, he even begged us to stop torturing him, like telling him to kill people. He refused to torture them or do bad things, he even cried about it, but when the project could have started to bear fruit was when he had to lose it. Sato. Like losing it. Doctor. Well, he had to lose his humanity, we turned him into some kind of demon-like monster, the worst thing anyone could ever have in a nightmare, and we have him right here. He said it while they began to see how they opened a door revealing a glass that was impressively thick, being that they were only beginning to be afraid like being horrified, or luckily they didn't piss their pants. In front of everyone they could only see a few things, first a little of the well-formed body of the person being as young as the class, although he had dried blood stains on his body. They couldn't see any of his hair, but the worst was when he opened his eyes, it was in all that darkness some small red lines that went towards a slight and small glow of crimson red, like at the same time two bright points in that having a yellow hue, and barely a sadistic smile, could be seen making everyone scared. Mirio. What is that thing? Doctor. That's right, meet our test subject, someone worthy of being in this place who can transform from a person into the worst of your dreams. Tamaki. How can they be able to experiment with that? Doctor. It's good that you asked. I'll send you the recordings of how we experimented with him from the beginning to the end, or rather until now. We'll give him a lesson on what he can do. Saying that, they closed the door so they could walk to a command room where they saw soldiers begin to enter armed to the teeth, some even having their quirks prepared ready to kill. Najire. What are you going to do? Doctor. Well, a demonstration, those people are prisoners, rapists, murderers, kidnappers, the worst of the worst that we promised to release on the condition that they kill our experiment, and to give them an advantage they will have night vision unlike our test subject. Izumi. And what is this person's name, or at least what was his or her name? Doctor. How strange, I thought they were going to recognize him, his name is or rather was Izuku Midoriya, that was his old name before becoming a monster. Saying that, everyone was scared to know that the young man who could fake such a friendly, cheerful smile was now scary in the dark, although some people were hurt by this, even Izawa and Nezu, since they had no idea of his current state. Momo. Did they really do that to him? Doctor. Yes, well I was repeating, I am innocent, I did not betray anything, I swear on my life, leave me alone, it was funny, I advise you to watch it when you get back, but anyway, let's get started on this. Saying such a thing they turned off the lights, and in doing so a small door was opened where something managed to get out without them being able to see it in time, where they only began to hear gunshots along with screams of people, everything in just a matter of minutes managed to end completely. All Might. I really created a powerful weapon from the looks of it. Doctor. Well thank you, even though you only listened to me, now test subject go back to your room. He said this while leaving a door open where some light came in, confusing them because nothing was happening. Hiroshima. Did he already come in? Doctor. No, test subject, go into your room now or we will do the same thing to you as last time. Not getting an answer, he just made a sign, somewhat annoyed but controlling himself, causing a guard to approach. Guard. Yes, sir. Doctor. I want you to go in with a large group. Remember, I don't want him dead, but I do want him hurt a lot. With that, a group began to prepare to enter. Present Mick. Are you sure about this? Doctor. Yes I am, it's better if your students don't see this, it can be a bit unpleasant, I can tell you from experience. Lita. Not at all, I want to see it. With that, the man left the lights of the field on, and they watched in horror as some people were missing limbs from their bodies, while others were simply cut in half, making things worse and some like Present Mick, Monoma, Sato and more ended up vomiting because of such a thing. Guard. We need to know where he is, we couldn't find anything. Doctor. Okay, here's the first volley now. Izawa. What do you mean, first download? Doctor. In cases like these we implant bombs in areas of your body while you are asleep, some of which can hurt you, others can leave you seriously injured, and one that kills you instantly, let's start by seeing where you are. Saying that, a part of the area exploded, causing everyone to surround that part with their weapons pointed in order to find him, but they saw nothing. Guard. There's no one in this part. Doctor. What do you mean? Here's the second one. By saying that I only detonated somewhere else, making them look at that same thing with more doubts than before, especially because of the time it would take to get there. Izawa. It's wrong, nothing goes from one extreme to the other in such a short time. When they went, the same result happened. Nothing was found in that same place, so they had no choice but to start exploding almost all of them, seeing how nothing was found at all, since the young man was nowhere to be found. Doctor. Damn it, I won't let this go by as if nothing happened, maybe one way or another you managed to find out where those explosives are, but these ones that are going to kill you, one in your spine, and if you took it out, then you didn't guess that I secretly left another one in your head. But that he detonated the explosives causing the window that was with them to end up breaking into pieces, surprising the class as well as the doctor, because he managed to discover the two charges in a quite ingenious way before the doctor who was beginning to get frustrated, but while they were walking through the area, one of the guards noticed something strange, and it was that one of the Prisoners' bodies was leaning against the wall, but in a somewhat peculiar way since it only had a wavy part making him have no choice but to move it to stay looking at everything. Well, they got closer to that part when they saw how his partner was staring at a place fixedly. Sato. Why do they all gather together? Doctor? What's going on? I want to report. Guard. Well sir, there is a hole. Doctor? What do you mean? Guard. We have a hole in this part, a body was covering it and it's big enough for someone to get through easily, to be honest. Upon receiving such news, he dropped the communicator while he just leaned on the control room. All Might. What's wrong? We can't hear what those people are telling you. Present Mick. Is he dead now because of downloads or something? Doctor. No, nothing like that, just that I have to inform my superiors. All Might. I brought it here in a way because I'm your superior and I want the report right now and as soon as possible. Doctor. Well, the test subject has managed to escape from the bunker it seems during the test. Saying that, some froze while the guards just stared at a huge hole that was present in the place without being able to make any sense of it other than starting to be quite afraid of what might be approaching. Chapter 4. In the bunker, a real problem was developing since ever since the young man's successful escape, they were only trying to find out where he could have gone, and they were only trying to find something, with only one answer being that they were looking at that hole he made, where all the possible people were just beginning to come out, all before the eyes of the heroes. All Might. How could he have escaped? Doctor. I really don't know, except it was for one of the powers we implanted in him. Izawa. What do you mean, one of the powers? Doctor. Yes, it allows him to have the opportunity to destroy certain things he touches, even if that consumes energy, depending on the amount he ends up destroying, and clearly he was able to perfect that ability since he ended up destroying based on a hole that could lead to an exit during each training, although he maintained a certain distance. A slight wall from which no one could notice other than the one who was there as a possible escape. Present Mick. Boy, this young man is really smart. Doctor. I'm afraid he's not intelligent. I personally made sure to transform him into an animal, a monster, a demon, something that doesn't think but acts on orders. It's impossible for him to have thought, he only followed his instincts like any well-trained animal. All Might. Sounds pretty logical to be honest with all this. Then they saw someone coming out of the hole and approaching them. Man. Excuse me, but I'm afraid you're mistaken. All Might. Excuse me? Man. Well, this hole wasn't made by an animal, but by someone who actually thinks about how to move. Doctor. That's impossible. I personally made sure he lost his sanity. No matter how, he had to have lost it. Man. Well, this hole doesn't say the same thing, this is not just a hole, since inside it has different routes like a labyrinth, I even had to leave a rope to move from which without a doubt, it was not easy to find the true exit, this was done by someone who thinks, not by an animal. All Might. And where does the exit lead to? Man. Well, to the nearest mountains with caves inside, perfect places to hide without anyone being able to find you, be it satellites or programming equipment, you can only enter on foot. Nezu. Not for nothing but I would like to know what was really going on. I want to know his possible movement since his own creation managed to deceive him. Doctor. Well, he was literally trained in the art of hunting as an attack and rescue, but above all he developed an impressively high killer instinct, even one of the bloodiest animals like lions, tigers, orcas. He will kill that which he does not like because if he can truly think then he can remember, and if he is capable of remembering he will move after something that he truly hates, and the most possible, from what I could learn in his instincts, is that he is more aggressive with the villains. Nezu. So you plan to go after the League of Villains, but first you have to find out about the League of Villains like everything else today. Doctor. Not only should you take that into account, but above all, you have not seen sunlight for a long time, and that will surely increase your thirst. All Might. What do you mean, your thirst? Doctor. Exactly, he has a great thirst for blood, he will not stop until he satisfies that thirst for blood, and to do so he must destroy all those villains that you say that apparently is a group, and if they are hidden in a way that not even you can find them, then it will be a matter of time before he finds them. The entire conversation was heard by the classes who left a small microphone on the doctor so they could hear what those people were talking about. Haminari. So they say Izuku plans to go after the League of Villains without hesitation. Mina. Yes, but even if he does it, he will end up dead. Mineta. Although to be honest I prefer to go against a League of Villains before going after that demon, it's that they saw how he is in the darkness, especially how he left those people. Najire. You shouldn't be listening to that kind of stuff. Tamaki. Let them listen, they are worried because they know that what they once faced is now free, and you see what it is now capable of doing, that means we have no chance of power against it. Mirio. It's true, although I still don't understand why he simply didn't go after us. I still wonder if he has enough strength to kill more people. Tamaki. That or maybe because he prefers to update himself. He just left his cell now, he just wants to know the world around him. That includes the seriousness of the situation, as well as other very important things. Mirio. This is going to be pretty bad with a league of villains free like the Tartarus breakout, and now this, things are really getting worse. Bakugo. Who the buck cares about that? When I find him I myself plan to end his miserable life, no matter how or what happens I plan to do it. The locals were left thinking about this while in another place the city was destroyed, all while some heroes were pulling a child out of the rubble. Man 1. Hey kid, you're going to be okay, just wait a little. Child. But I want to go with my mommy. Man 2. You'll be able to get there soon, just wait a little. Man 3. Hey, I think I can make the kid happy. They saw a woman approaching little by little, and when she saw the little boy she went to hug him. Woman. My baby, are you okay? Child. Mom, I missed you so much, I was scared. Man 2. We better go, we can't stay long, there are more people to rescue. The people were about to take the young man from the place, but out of nowhere some rubble hit them causing some people to fly away, and they only saw that he was a villain, someone who had a sadistic smile, while he had his gaze set on everyone. Muscular. Come on heroes, don't tell me that this is what's left standing, at this rate I'll take them all down by myself. The man was throwing more debris all while his laughter did not stop as the heroes covered themselves, although out of shame the child was not covered at all, while he watched as a car that was thrown by the villain was going towards the little boy who was hugged by his mother, waiting for the impact of that vehicle, waiting for his death, although he had faith in being able to save his son's life, but he only heard how he crashed into something without knowing what it was, which caused him to look little by little like he was someone with blood on his muscular body, wearing wasted black pants like a bored lifeless look, all while the wind little by little moved his green hair that was blacker than before, but the biggest problem that left them surprised was that the young man turned his back on. That car that due to the impact ended up bending, but it remained firm as if it were nothing. Boy. Are you okay? Woman. Yes, thank you for helping us. Boy. Okay, go away, I'll take care of the villains, you should be able to live in peace. Those words were accompanied by the young man who was just beginning to move, slowly moving the car out of the way as if it were nothing. Woman. By the way, I would like to know the name of the hero who saved us. Boy. I'm not a hero, nor a villain or an anti-hero, but if you can call me demon or monster as you please. By the way, my name is Izuku, just Izuku. That name was accompanied by a surprise from the woman because literally in the entire country there was only one person with that name, and it was not someone who was free doing her okaks, but someone locked up who is supposed to be evil. But now that woman and her child had just saved his life, all while more rubble was about to go against them, but from the young man's back 9 tails came out that were put on to protect the woman and her child from those rubble. Well, the young man received them without feeling anything in return, and when they finished he just made his tails disappear. Woman. He's supposed to be bad, but then I don't understand why he saves us. Izuku. Hey, Long, this place is dangerous for you. But that the woman began to leave, well the boy remembered the name and face of the young man perfectly, who only walked with great confidence towards the villain who noticed his presence. Muscular. Who the hell are you? Asking that to the young man he only had a sadistic smile while his murderous instinct screamed for blood. Izuku. Please, what happened to you, Muscular? Did I hit you so hard when we faced each other that you forgot about me, the young man who sent you to Tartarus, or did you simply not recognize me? Saying such a thing, I managed to remember the young man becoming completely angry as he let out his muscles in front of everyone. Muscular. Good thing I found you because right now I'm going to kill you with everything I've got. As he said that he only began to hear laughter, completely confusing the villain. Izuku. Haha, find me, but if I came after you, you are really funny, 2 good jokes that you found me, and you will manage to kill me. Muscular. How do you take this as a joke? I'm serious, you miserable person, I'll get revenge on you. Izuku. Let me tell you that you are in certain trouble, my dear friend. First of all, I am now a monster, therefore you have no way to stay alive or someone to save you now. Second, I plan to kill you no matter how. Third, before I must get certain things out of the League of Villains, since once I manage to finish you off I will go after them. Muscular. Please, I will finish you as soon as possible. The villain barely made a small jump against him, being that he was 22 centimeters from where he jumped, but for the man in front of his face, there was already the young man's hand going towards him in slow motion, until the rest was fast, since he directly went to throw him against the rubble, making a line of destruction to lift him up, and directly hit his stomach and chest, breaking some bones while he spit blood, causing him to drag himself through the rubble until he managed to stop. Izuku. What happened? Weren't you going to kill me? Muscular. Damn, his strength really surpasses me by far, he is really capable of doing so much damage with one hit, and he doesn't even use his full strength, apparently, but thanks to the League of Villains, I have something that will kill him. Izuku. Come on Muscular, you used to give me problems, don't tell me that Tartaros became soft. Muscular. Shut your mouth and die. He said this while throwing a grenade that barely reached the young man and ended up exploding directly, but it was bigger than normal. Drawing a smile on the villain, although it didn't last long when he saw how the flames began to subside, all while little by little, it was getting smaller and entering the hand of the boy who had a serious look with boredom, but went on to have that sadistic smile, causing the villain to back away a few steps. Muscular. How is this possible? You're supposed to be dead. Izuku. Thanks for the recharge, I'll give you a small part now. At that point, a large amount of energy ended up coming out of the same hand, which the villain barely managed to dodge, but in doing so he fell to the ground while holding onto his right arm, or what was left of it, as it turned to ash. Muscular. Damn my miserable arm. At that he was taken by the neck by the young man who had that smile while staring into his eyes. Izuku. Don't die now, we're not done with this game yet because you have to answer some questions. But that he began to run away from the place with a Muscular without an arm and quite hurt before the eyes of everyone who understood two things. First, that they were not friends or something good, second, that nothing was going to go well for that man. Chapter 5. In a cave in the mountains there was a Muscular who was quite injured but aware of the things that were happening around him, being that he was only looking at that darkness where some eyes were reflected in the background of all that same thing, being that he was beginning to be afraid, but he was trying to show that it was not that way. Muscular. What the hell do you want from me? You're supposed to lock me up. Izuku. It's simple, I just need answers about a few things. Muscular. What kind of answers? If you're talking about proving your innocence, then I can only tell you that I was ordered to say all that and nothing more. Izuku. Don't worry, I'm not interested in that kind of thing because it's something else that I truly want. Muscular. What do you mean, is that something else you want? Izuku. Exactly, what I really want is to know things about the League of Villains, I need to know places, names, how to find them, passwords, everything I need to know. Muscular. How the hell do you think I can actually tell you all that? Izuku. You still have another part to lose, I mean you still have one arm left. Muscular. Fine, I'll tell you everything you want to know, just stop doing this kind of things, I really beg you. He said this while he had his hands extended, or rather his only hand, towards the young man who was just starting to laugh a little for that very reason, while everyone in the academy was watching the news where a certain interview was taking place. Reporter. So let me see if I can understand you, the heroes rescued their little one with whom they managed to reunite, but they were attacked by the villain Muscular who wanted to kill them, but they were saved by the former hero Deku, the same student of the UA Academy. Woman. He saved my little one and me from being crushed to death by a car or some rubble. Reporter. And what do you think of him? Woman. I really don't know what to think of him, to be honest. Reporter. I'd rather know if you think he's a hero, an anti-hero, or just another villain, just like the rest of what he's trying to prove. Woman. In fact, when I didn't know who he was at first because he was quite different from before, I just asked him what kind of hero he was, and he told me that he was neither a hero, anti-hero or villain, none of those parts. Reporter. Wait a minute, if you say it's none of that, then I'd like to know what it is. Woman. Well, he told me that right now he sees himself as a demon or a monster, either of those parts doesn't matter to him, he is capable of seeing himself that way, that's why I don't know what I can say about him. Reporter. And when he saved you then you left? Woman. Yes, I left because he told me that the place is very dangerous, and after that he took care of the villain alone. Reporter. So that young man is capable of doing things that heroes don't do nowadays, but viewers already have him. There's no idea if he's a good or bad guy. He could even be pretending right now. He said this while the TV was turned off by the class who were just left thinking because right now a member of the League of Villains just disappeared. Haminari. What does this mean? Mina. Well, I honestly don't know, but it's most likely that it was Muscular's fault that he brought the villains together. Todoroki. It's impossible, my father told me about what those same heroes saw, and it was that Izuku ripped off Muscular's arm, apart from humiliating him and mistreating him much more than normal to be able to pretend, it's most likely that he's after the League of Villains trying to hunt them down like a predator. Lita. That's impossible, he seems to be pretending pretty well. Uraraka. It's true, he must be pretending in the best way possible that no one else can do it. Bakugo. When I find him I swear I'll kill him without thinking twice. The class was in agreement with this type of thing, although some thought for a bit before throwing themselves into the fire against a boy, while in a room Momo was covering her mouth while crying from seeing how the young man's training was from the beginning, according to the recordings. Doctor. Come on, do it already. Izuku. Please, I don't want to do this, I don't want to hurt anyone else. The young man had to kill a villain on the spot, but by not paying attention to him, some parts of the body produced currents of electricity that hit the young man's body like blows against him, causing him to scream in pain, all while refusing to do so and crying about it. Doctor. Do it already, because sooner or later you're going to end up giving in. Izuku. But I don't want to, please, I'm innocent, I never betrayed the UA, I really don't want to hurt anyone, I swear. Doctor. So we have no other choice, well in that case look at that part. Aiming to the side, the young man saw a girl playing in a room while a guard was preparing his gun to shoot. Izuku. Please don't do it, I beg you, don't do it. Doctor. There are 2 lives and only one can live, so choose once and for all the life of that girl or that of this prisoner. The young man looked at the prisoner, who was only a little scared because he knew well that the young man was going to have to kill him. Prisoner. Please don't do it, I have a family, a wife, some children, please don't do it. Doctor. Shut your mouth, he has to decide, and what's more, we're going to raise the bet. Saying that, he saw how other children came in, making things worse for the young man who was only making the decision to be able to let the children die or leave a family without a father. When the young man did nothing more than scream as with a blow, he pierced the man's chest, staining him with blood, all while the person's life was slipping away little by little until he took his last breath all. While the young man was crying silently, but it was worse when the next thing happened. Man. Well, now I guess we have no choice. Doctor. Well, get rid of the illusion. Izuku. What did you just say? And that she saw how where the children were was making her understand that it was false, making her fall to her knees crying to see her hands stained with blood and give a cry of pain as helplessness for such a thing. When the brunette finished, she only wanted to take note of the power of that young man, to have an idea of how to go against him, but that changed when she saw that her training. The experiment was truly a physical and mental torture for the young man, causing that when she finished that part, she would return to an image where the young man's current form was shown only for him to see his previous form in a photo where he was with her. Momo. You really did something bad, but it wasn't meant to be done like this, really. If I had known this was waiting for you, Izuku, then I would have never turned my back on you. These were his words while in another room they were arguing without knowing what they might end up with. All Might. I already said it, we must go after him. Ectoplasm. But we can't just go after Izuku like nothing, we don't even know how dangerous he is right now. Nezu. It's true, he's very strong, and we haven't even seen his full potential, so we have no choice but to keep waiting until we get a good result, although if we think about it carefully, if he goes after the League of Villains, we can make it 2 for 1. Izawa. What are you talking about? Nezu. Well, if he attacks the League of Villains, how to destroy them, then at that moment we can go after him, it's like hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. But that they began to agree to leave the place, making the teacher sit down. Sniper. Good idea, director, that way they'll leave him alone. Izawa. Although they're going to go after him anyway, I don't think it's a good idea to try to relax them. Sniper. That's right, we have to find him as proof that he's innocent before they find him. Nezu. I guess we have no choice, although we can't be too confident anyway. Izuku is currently very dangerous, so it's not safe to get close, not to mention that we really need to have people's trust in all of us again. Sniper. Although things are going to be worse when Muscular manages to appear dead like more members of the League of Villains, and if they come to know that Izuku was the cause, especially the news if he finds out, then this is going to completely explode with people confused and we will have to tell him what happened. Nezu. It's true, things are getting worse every time. Izawa. I guess we have to think more things than usual now, it's really annoying, but we don't have many options in exchange for having an opportunity through someone from the League of Villains, there's no other choice but to be able to do that kind of things, to be honest. Nezu. That's true, we have no choice but to do it that way in exchange for speeding up the results of all this. I just hope that we can have the opportunity to find him before everything. Izawa. I'm afraid it's true, we better start preparing things as soon as possible, otherwise there will really be more deaths, and if Izuku is a machine that screams for bloodlust, then sooner or later we will have a rain of blood all over the place, and the person responsible will only have a smile. Nezu. That kind of thing sounds good to me, but if we don't have anything else, then let's start once and for all, because I really want to know how to find him. The 3 of them were just thinking about how to find him while in another place there was a young man with rather dark green hair walking towards the exit while a lifeless body was bleeding everywhere and only stained part of the cave. Izuku. Thanks for telling me everything I need, Muscular, now I'm going to go after them and maybe with luck I'll be able to find them all in one place to kill them once and for all, they're very annoying. His words were accompanied as he moved to get the blood out of his hand, allowing him to start leaving the place, although this was not good for a certain group that was talking to two of the largest members on a stretcher, trying to recover from their wounds. All for one. So they say that this young Izuku not only managed to return, but went against Muscular, and it seems that he is going to interrogate him. Spinner. I'm afraid so, he really didn't look the same. Toga. That sadistic smile he had on his face only made me wet, I wanted to get a little closer to him if possible. Tamura. Well, luckily some of our old members are with us, and now we need you to be able to continue faking your death. Twice you actually did pretty well. Twice. Well, thank you for telling me that. Now if we really have to pretend to keep the surprises at the end of all this, then we will have good things. Abi. Although we have no choice but to think about the next moves, because if he really is after us, then it means that only one thing is going to happen. He wants to tear us all apart as soon as possible. He doesn't plan on having mercy. Tamura. In that case I will send some Nomus after him, so we can try to reach him as much as possible to get the quirks he has, because it really seems like he has something pretty strong. All for one. He even seems like a future threat on a large scale, even more than these heroes. That makes things worse for us, and the best thing is that he can't find us. He said this while thinking about this very thing, having no idea how things could turn out with the young man, and having the wrong idea that he still left his victims alive, a very big mistake. Chapter 6. In a part where the villains, or at least old members of these, were walking through a fairly old building, being that they were only trying to keep things under control so that nothing bad happened, since they really must watch that part being something important, although now nothing important or bad was happening that was worth looking at. Lustered. How boring, I thought that at least something good was going to happen this time, at least just one thing. Moonfish. Although we must accept that at least we are not doing more dangerous things, remember this guy trying to hunt down the villains one by one. Lustered. Don't make me remember, ever since he went after Muscular there was no more trace of those two, it is said that he was a real demon. Moonfish. It's true, we're safer inside the same part than outside with that thing, whatever it is. Lustered. Then don't complain, although I don't think we can do anything about it anyway, you know, sometimes something bad happens. Moonfish. Although even if we did meet him I would simply kill him with my teeth, that way he will learn what happens when you mess with a league of villains. Lustered. That's the good and the bad, I just hope I don't find him for the moment, it could really be pretty bad luck. On the other side of the same building, two Nomus fell to the floor without making any noise, all while they began to disappear little by little, and something passed by to one side of them, which began to put one of its arms on the wall, beginning to leave a claw mark on it. Izuku. You miserable idiots will die soon, you don't know how much I'm waiting for you. He said it while having a smile in order to go after the villains. With them they were walking on one side of the building, where they were only making weapons to be able to finish off the heroes. Moonfish. Not bad, I can't wait to be able to use it against this bastard, that way he'll learn what happens when he messes with us. Lustered. Don't be so confident in weapons, this kind of thing can be quite dangerous to be honest. Moonfish. Hey, I still can't believe that Kurogiri made them believe that he was actually an infiltrator within the League of Villains. They really are idiots for believing that. Lustered. That's true, thanks to that right now we can have more advantage over the heroes, we just need to be able to know how to do the next attack right now. And that they saw how some Nomus stood there who just stared at them for such a thing. Moonfish. What the hell is wrong with those Nomus? They seem defective. Lustered. I don't know, they're supposed to be on guard duty. And that they fell to the floor, their bodies beginning to disappear while they looked at some hands in the darkness that only remained that way, allowing a bright point to be seen in that entire part. Izuku. Hello everyone, Daddy's here to punish you. Hearing that voice they stared at him until Moonfish immediately attacked, trying to hit the young man who managed to dodge it, taking distance to avoid as many of his teeth as possible, having a smile at the villain who seemed somewhat frustrated, and those who were making the machines only happened to run away, while the young man only found himself avoiding each attack of the villain. Moonfish. Hey, I'd like you to help me a little. Lustered. I'd like to, but it's not easy to shoot something that's capable of being good at dodging. At that point he began to go after the young man, taking some distance to let out his quirk, causing that smoke to begin to surround him completely, although this drew a smile on the young man who dodged the villain's teeth to launch himself against the one who appears to be a World War II soldier. Moonfish. Be careful, it's after you. Lustered. It doesn't matter, I'll stop him right now with my smoke, no one is capable of facing me in this. And that he saw how the young man took out a massive darkness from his hand, making a kind of wing that ended up covering his entire right arm, that barely touched the ground. He made a movement causing all the smoke to go towards Moonfish, who managed to cover himself in time avoiding that smoke, while he looked in fear at the young man with that smile. Izuku. You're not going to just finish me off, you miserable idiot, I'll kill you right now. With that, the dark matter wing formed a giant claw to launch itself against the villain, who could only start shooting. Elsewhere, the UA was preparing some like the class it was. All Might. Listen up everyone, today we're going to have classes where we're going to walk the streets of the city to try to help people a little with whatever they need. Lita. What good is this going to do us? All Might. Well, to make people trust us again, apart from the fact that later we will send them to do some things like help around the houses, among other important matters for all of us, so that they trust us again. The class was able to nod their heads to begin to leave the place walking while in the building. The young man was in front of a moonfish, terrified to see how he passed by Mustard, but now the villain was missing his right arm, as well as part of his stomach as organs among other things of the right organ, causing him to fall dead to the floor. Moonfish. What are you? Izuku. I'm a monster or a demon, whatever you want to call me, I don't care, I only care about being able to finish off all of you miserable and disgusting cowardly villains who are not capable of facing me immediately, but rather spend their time running trying to get away, doing everything possible to prevent me from reaching you. Moonfish. This is bad, I must leave as soon as possible. When the young man launched himself against him, the villain began to throw his teeth as far as possible, trying to take the young man by surprise, but the young man managed to keep his distance with each tooth, so that as soon as he got to the front of him with a smile, he ended up piercing his chest with his hand, causing him to spit blood while he looked at the green-haired man before closing his eyes and falling to the floor lifeless. Izuku. Okay, 3 down, now we just need to finish off the rest. The young man was about to leave, but he heard a voice that made him alert. Kurogiri. You really got strong enough, to be honest, I'm even surprised you would do something like this. In that, finding himself on top of a machine, the same part ended up exploding in a cloud of dust, which when it left there was a green-haired man with his hand on the floor, apart from having a piece of red cloth, while Kurogiri ended up somewhere else fixing his cut tie to get it out. Izuku. You're good at running, it's not for nothing that you're the escape door for the League of Villains. Kurogiri. I just want to talk to you as soon as possible. Izuku. What are you talking about now? Kurogiri. Well, to be honest, I wish I could come to an agreement with you so you could join the League of Villains. At that point he had to move again after almost receiving a piece of iron in his face. Izuku. I guess you should know my answer to that. Kurogiri. You must let me finish talking sometimes, I want to offer you the chance to get revenge on those who turned you into that. Izuku. If it were up to me, I'd be grateful because now I have power. Kurogiri. Really? You have power, but you don't use it for good. Izuku. There is no justice, there is no injustice, there is no good or evil, there is only my own being, that is what matters. Kurogiri. I see, you've really changed a lot, and if I want to be able to talk to you, I need to keep you still first, so I'm sorry about that. By saying that he managed to confuse the young man who only saw how Inomu managed to get out of a portal that was generated on his back, making him dodge it with difficulty, followed by another Nomu through another portal, and when he looked better at his surroundings, there were many portals with Nomus coming out of these, causing him to have no choice but to move to one side, dodging everything. Followed by seeing how the Nomus went towards him, causing him to have no choice but to get angry as he went on to grab some Nomus by the face and begin to use them to hit more Nomus, causing them to fly everywhere without any mercy, not allowing the opportunity for them to get close to the same one who managed to do such a thing, although at one point a Nomu managed to catch him in one arm from behind, followed by another and another, causing them all to come together in order to be on top of the young man who alone had no escape, but they flew out in a moment because of some 9 tails that the boy had. Izuku. Enough with the games, I won't let them take away my valuable time. Saying that, he looked up as he opened his mouth, revealing his fangs, all the while above him little by little small red like sky blue spheres gathered together, forming a larger sphere of a dark violet that little by little became blacker and larger. Kurogiri. This isn't good, it really seems like it wants to blow me into 1,000 pieces. The villain walked away while the Nomus, seeing this, started to attack him in order to catch him as soon as possible, but from one second to the next he completely exploded. Moments before, not far away, the class was walking with a smile, helping some people. All Might. Not bad class, it seems like we're improving little by little. Hiroshima. It's true, we really are getting better and better even if it doesn't seem like it. Amy. Although I can't believe they actually accepted me into the academy. Lita. Everyone is accepted no matter the person, although little by little we become stronger. Sato. But I would like to go after Izuku, he must suffer for everything he did against us. All Might. I know you hate that traitor, but you must have some patience, we can't just relax, it's dangerous to go after him now, so first we must become stronger. Bakugo. Come on, he can't be stronger than me, I'm way beyond that idiot. Uraraka. And how much exactly? Bakugo. What kind of question is that? Uraraka. Well, you say that you surpass him by far, but we must know exactly in order to have a better chance when we go against him, we must be sure of that. Bakugo. Well, much more than you can imagine, that much. Saying such a thing, a fairly old building not far from them completely exploded, causing them to look at this and go to that part where they saw the rubble like fire, beginning to walk through it, seeing everything that happened. Mina. What happened in this place? Sigh. It seems like nothing good really. Todoroki. Hey, look over here, it seems I managed to find a member of the League of Villains. Saying that they saw the man being a dead moonfish, making them have doubts, especially since there were dead Nomas on the floor. All Might. What happened in this place? Todoroki. Nothing good, that's what I can tell you. Everyone was starting to leave if it weren't for the noises, like the movement of rubble, so they could see at the top of everything how a green-haired boy stained with blood was starting to emerge, surprising the class, all while the fire allowed them to see his scary tails better. Sato. It really is him. Izumi. It can't be possible, he caused all this and even killed the Nomas and villains. Sai. And he doesn't seem very happy, to say the least. Bakugo. Come on, come attack me, I challenge you miserable Deku, come now. The young man stared at him as if noticing that little by little more heroes came, causing him to disappear in one leap, beginning to leave before everyone's eyes, knowing that they were not going to be able to catch him. All Might's thoughts. He knows the rest are coming, but I can't go after him either, I don't know how much time I have left and a fight against him I don't think it will be short. The man just stared at him as he left. Chapter 7. Coming face to face with a more detailed and complete profile of the green-haired man, they didn't deny that he was still a bit scary, some even thought about whether to really confront that young man instead of going after the League of Villains, but what caused more doubts was why the young man killed members of the League of Villains when they were supposed to be his allies. A doubt that didn't leave them alone while in a cave where a certain young man was sleeping, something was happening in his mind. Izuku. Where the hell am I? If it's my mind, I haven't come to see it for a long time. Boy. It's because we never had much to talk about until now. Hearing that, I began to look around without understanding it. Izuku. Who the hell just talked to me? I want to see you. Boy. Don't worry, you don't have to worry about me, we're the same person. Izuku. What are you talking about? In that rather large light he noticed how a person began to approach little by little, being the same, but before they betrayed him. Boy. It's a pleasure to be your side, which is Deku, you already know the good thing. Izuku. I see, I thought you died a long time ago to be honest, I don't understand why I'm seeing you now. Deku. Let me explain some things to you, seeing the class again in a more direct way like them, I let you create a period of time where I can talk to you since we are separated, all this time I was in charge of being outside giving a smile to people, while my other side, that is, you, was deep inside me accumulating hatred, thirst for revenge, and other things. Izuku. So you say that we are not complete in some way, I don't understand why you make yourself present to me at the end of everything, and I suppose it is for something good. Deku. Yes, we were always separated so we could never use our full potential, but we have some things to be able to complete it. Izuku. What the hell are you talking about? Deku. You have the side of a villain, the potential for great darkness and many other things, but on my side we have justice, everything that is needed to be greater, so if we unite then only in that way will we go further to achieve true peace in this world. The young man stared at his other self intently analyzing things until he sighed. Izuku. Be honest in case you accept this kind of things, but only in accepting it, I would like to know the consequences as advantages, for example, knowing if those silly feelings, friendship, trust, love, all that will affect me in my work, because I really want to continue with what I do. Deku. Well, to be honest, a little, but my presence is not entirely necessary. When you saved that woman and her son, you did it of your own free will, something that I had nothing to do with, therefore my presence is not entirely necessary to be able to do the same thing. Izuku. I see, in that case I propose a deal between the two of us to end this because I don't like being in this place. Deku. Sounds good to me, I'm listening to you anyway, I have nowhere to go, as you can see I'm part of you as you are part of me, therefore I'm listening to you. Izuku. You say that in case we join then we can increase our capabilities in a certain way, something that doesn't make sense to me to be honest, but I don't plan on accepting those feelings in any way, not while they get in my way, therefore until I need a way to increase my power in case it is necessary, then I don't plan on accepting what you are offering me, but I reject it completely. You can stay as long as you want, but I'm leaving, I don't plan on accepting it. Deku. Sounds good to me, you can go as you say, just keep one thing in mind, and that is that when the time comes we can try to unite, that way our power will be greater to protect the people we truly love, and you know that better than anyone if I'm not mistaken. Izuku. I'm not wrong, but don't bother me again if necessary. He said this as he began to slowly fade away from his mind, while everyone at UA was left wondering how the young man actually achieved such a thing. Haminari. I never imagined seeing something like that, it's scarier than it seems. Mineta. If I didn't want to face him before, now you can be even less sure of that. Haimi. Even though we had tried to talk to him. Lita. Are you crazy? That thing is not human, you can't talk to it, it must be destroyed. Doctor. They are actually wrong about that. Upon hearing that voice, they saw a place where the doctor was walking calmly as if nothing were happening, holding a coffee in his hand. Todoroki. How do I get in? Doctor. You might be surprised at how easy it is to get into places like these, but one thing. If you really want to secretly listen to other people's conversations, make sure that one of those people isn't a government agent capable of knowing everything that's going on around them. Lita. So he knew from the beginning that we were listening to him. Doctor. Yes, I didn't say anything because I think everyone should know about this project, especially when it is out of free control in the city, but well, they make mistakes and at the same time they get some things right. Mina. What are you talking about? Doctor. First, Izuku was created to be able to be an invincible person, not a weapon capable of not being overcome, something impossible to stop once it starts. It's like when you turn on a machine, but you don't know how to turn it off, that's why it can't be completely destroyed because he was designed to destroy, not to die. Haimi. So what about the other thing? Doctor. The second thing is that you can reason with him, despite all the attempts to transform him into a weapon without a life of its own. Sometimes despite thinking that I was successful, I noticed certain movements when killing, not some normal ones like hitmen do, but as if a part of him didn't want to do it. So I reviewed the evidence again from the first to the last, and I realized something, there is a part of him that is still good, or that is what you could say, since he was sent as a traitor. Todoroki. Then we can try to talk to him completely. Doctor. Exactly, they just need to know how to do it because it's not easy, you know, it's not like just going in and saying hello, I want to talk to you about how to destroy you. Sato. Then I don't understand how it can be possible, I mean it destroys a building completely. Doctor. Yes he did, but it was because he was surrounded by Nomus, and if he were as bloodthirsty and unreasonable as they say then like my previous experiments with him, he would have killed you that is most likely some of you would have died, even though some heroes were approaching he had enough time, but unlike that he decided to leave you alone, maybe there is a person among you who still does not want to hurt progress and for that reason I will be watching you to decipher how my project works, since I do not know more than I thought. Momo. I didn't think he was like that, but even though he turned his back on us, you still tortured him like you have no idea. Doctor. Hey, if I tortured him, then I have enough of an idea to know. Momo. But what he did was inhumane, even though he is a prisoner he can't do things like that, play with his mind, that kind of torture he used on his body and head was not humane, but was like truly creating a monster. Doctor. Please young lady, some parts of this government are corrupt, even this same government wanted to test this idea, that is why they went through with me, because they knew very well that I would be able to handle a matter like this, things that no one else can do, but me alone, please I ask that you be a little more reasonable when making accusations. The raven fell while the man was alone, calm, although he was preparing some things to leave. Okoyami. I don't understand how you can't be afraid, I mean you torture him, he can go towards you in order to kill you. Doctor. That's because I have certain things that the rest don't, for example I created it therefore I know how it works, and that's why I prepared a single weapon capable of ending his life, and if I create a weapon capable of protecting myself, since it can't be created with a mace, then why not keep that same weapon forever, as long as I can keep things under control. He said this as he took a rather large briefcase in front of everyone's eyes, who were surprised because he actually carried that weapon with him the whole time, in that case, all while he began to leave the place. Sato. That guy is scary, I really don't want to mess with him. Jiru. Although if he has a weapon capable of killing him, then he must be after him not standing still doing nothing. Todoroki. He doesn't do anything for pretty obvious reasons. Haminari. What are you talking about? Todoroki. If I torture him sooner or later he will go after him, and as long as Izuku has no idea that that man has the only weapon that can kill him, then he won't have to worry, because he will be able to confront him despite everything. Haimi. It sounds pretty reasonable, except that since he was the one in charge of watching her progress, he is also the one who knows all her movements. Haminari. That gives us a chance to get rid of him completely, because if we really have the chance to be able to do something like this, then I feel better. Jiru. We won't even have to put in the effort to find or kill him, because that man will take care of him as soon as possible. Sato. Now I can't wait for Izuku to go against him, that way we can forever get rid of that same demon we have on the streets. Some left without knowing what to think about it. Kirishima. I'm not really comfortable with this. Momo. Me neither, even though I don't like this feeling. Mina. Actually our group was pretty good while we were together, but there's something inside me that's warning me not to do anything to Izuku, and it's not because he's a murderer like a monster now, but because of something else, but I don't know what it is. Kirishima. We'll be able to know what this strange feeling is. Sigh. Although that man said that if Izuku is capable of being reasonable, then we can try to talk to him, to have answers that we didn't have the chance to have before. Momo. It's true, now we have a new plan, form the group to tell them about everything we know now about Izuku like that man's plans, and to be able to look for him to get answers, talk to him, and not attack him in any possible way. Sigh. This kind of plan sounds pretty good to me. Kirishima. I say the same thing, I think the same thing. Mina. As long as he doesn't want to kill us for what happened before, as long as we can try to be okay, you know, without our heads separating from our bodies. Kirishima. Then let's do that, let's avoid any kind of things that become bad, to be honest. Momo. It's decided, we will try to find Izuku so we can have all the answers we need, and that way we will avoid more problems in the future that we have with him or the League of Villains. The group began to agree on that same thing, while in another place there was a factory with the villains making their moves, although Dabi walked calmly through the place with a smile. Dabi. Soon Endeavor will crush your stupid miserable will. He said this as he walked and not far away was someone looking at the whole place with a smile. Izuku. So now I have this kind of stuff, it's going to be fun. He said this as he looked at the factory with his eyes shining as always with that touch of evil in his being. Chapter 8. In that factory some people were just walking around doing their jobs all while in the darkness something was slowly approaching that took the guards by surprise, causing them to disappear as they tried to keep everything under control, while on one side there was a certain villain walking around looking at the reports. Man. Little by little we are having more results with the machines, with this we will have more advantage. Dabi. Not bad, I actually like these numbers, but we can improve them to be honest. Man. Not for nothing sir, but it really isn't easy to improve them. Dabi. I know, but that wasn't advice, it was an order. I want these numbers to improve more than they are now. Man. But sir, how can we do something like this? Dabi. I don't know, it's your problem just like I have my own problems. He said this as he handed him the board and looked at an area of the place with a smile, where a body fell, followed by that young man coming out of the darkness with that same smile he always had. Izuku. I already feel that your blood is close, but increasingly outside of your body. Dabi. Not bad, you killed Moonfish and Mustard on your own, as well as some Nomas who were sent to catch you, apart from the time Muscular was missing, I can say that you were the main cause of certain death. Izuku. What makes you think that? Dabi. Pure feeling, I figured you were going to come sooner or later, that's why I brought you a surprise. Saying that, a Nomu began to fall on top of the young man, and as soon as it landed on the young man it created a cloud of dust, and as it left it was shown that it was the same Nomu that attacked the USJ a long time ago, the first one the heroes could see, apart from the fact that it had its fist nailed to the ground, while Izuku was near it. Izuku. You're too slow to hit me. Saying that, the Nomu tried to give him a direct hit that the young man managed to dodge to give a direct hit to his stomach that sent him flying to the side of Dabi, who only cited such a thing. Dabi. I never thought you were capable of sending him flying like that, but I also have no idea what you did to have that power, although I don't care because you're going to be dead soon. With that he threw fire towards the young man who only stood still with a smile, and as soon as his flames began to go away little by little surprising the villain who watched as the boy began to absorb them, followed by seeing a slight light in his mouth, launching a ray of energy, forcing the villain to move, while that ray hit the Nomu continuing long through some walls, while the Nomu was left without a part of his left arm like his abdomen, but the villain could not remain in shock for long, because he noticed how the young man was behind him, where he tried to connect a blow to the villain who managed to block it with his arms, but that forced him to be sent to crash against the floor of the place crossing a platform, so that he was in that part. Izuku. What's wrong? It seems that took you by surprise. Dabi. Impressive, you are able to absorb energy to launch it again against the person who attacked you, something that to be honest surprises me, but out of shame for you, I have my Nomu that protects me, and you can't do the same to him. Saying that, the Nomu tried to connect a blow on the young man, achieving just that, although the green-haired man had to block it, but the force of the impact was enough to send him crashing into a wall, where he managed to come out more excited than before. Izuku. This is nothing, it just delays your death a little longer. But that the Nomu gave a roar as he launched himself at him, so the boy did the same, bumping fists into each other, creating a wind wave followed by another fist clash, and more that only increased with more blows, until at one moment the young man managed to connect a kick in the Nomu's face that made him step back, followed by a blow to his stomach, only for him to be sent crashing into some machines where he barely got up, but out of shame the green-haired boy ended up landing on top of his body, all while Dabi took a secret exit where it only closed while the villain escaped holding onto his left arm. Dabi. He's on another level. That hit, even though I was able to block it with my two arms, it was strong enough to break my left arm and almost do the same with my right one. Right now the Nomu is the only one capable of stopping him, especially with his new part. He said this as he went to press a button and drop the device. In combat Izuku went against him to deliver another blow, but as he did so he noticed a slight light on the Nomu's body, so that a laser came out that he barely managed to dodge, surprising him as he watched the Nomu have some kind of weapon placed on his body. Izuku. So the League of Villains did not create weapons for their own villains, but they were to put them in the bodies of the Nomus so that they are able to destroy everything in their path. Not bad, this is going to entertain me a little more. Saying that the Nomu only fired more times, causing the young man to barely dodge them due to his speed, but at one moment the creature was in front of him, giving a direct blow to his face that sent him crashing through some walls, only for him to get up with some anger. Izuku. So you want to play her off, then we'll play her off. But that said, his pupils turned a deep blood red, somewhat bright, and the rest of the area around his eyes was black, giving something quite intimidating, while his skin began to have a red hue on its own. But that the Nomu began to feel a threat to prepare for the attack, but in a moment the young man was in front of him to grab him by the face and slam him against one of the machines, making him go through it and continue on that course through some others, being that when he was about to get up, he managed to stop a kick from the boy, but not a blow that came from above, causing him to end up being buried in the floor, followed by being thrown to other parts without any mercy. While in the dormitories, some were playing with Class B. Tesu. Hey Ed, let's team up, we have to win this time. Hiroshima. Sounds pretty good to me. Shinso. Every time they play together they always make teams, they don't even have to say it directly, just do it. Tesu. Hey, that's not true. Okoyami. Indeed it is. Sayu. I'm wondering if they're really brothers. Kendo. It may be that way, but well, until we get somewhere, we don't know completely. Sayu. That's true. Mina. Until they end up fighting in the games, they will continue to be together in this kind of things. Then they saw a rather hasty brunette come in, confusing everyone so she could take out the video game, making the boys angry about this. Tesu. Hey, what are you doing? We were playing. Momo. Yes, I know, you can continue later, but I want to check something. Saying that, they saw how the news changed as they saw a helicopter recording part of the fight that was taking place between the Nomu that attacked the USJ a while ago against that young man with green hair, but they couldn't distinguish him well. Reporter 1. As you can see right now we are witnessing a pretty tough fight since the two rivals seem quite strong, even though one is bigger than the other. Reporter 2. And is there a way to know who they are? Reporter 1. Luckily, we can now know what they say and also know who they are. At that the camera began to zoom in, allowing everyone to see what that green-haired man was like, but he was scarier than before as he was fighting against the Nomu, who hit him again, followed by Izuku doing the same. The Nomu was going to hit him again, but fire began to come out of his elbow, increasing the power of the attack that hit the young man, who ended up stepping back. Izuku. Hey, that hurt me. He said this as he began to strike back with greater power than before in order to win the battle of endurance, as long as the Nomu fell. Reporter. From what I can see it seems that former UA student Izuku is fighting against the Nomu that attacked the USJ in order to kill All Might. This is impressive, although I have no idea what exactly is happening. He said this as they watched how the fight was still continuing, with the young man enduring each blow that was clearly strong, since some things behind him were moving due to the waves he was generating, but the green-haired man was not far behind as he was doing exactly the same thing, increasing the number of blows with brute force, causing the Nomu to retreat even further than before. Hiroshima. This is impressive. Mina. How can you stand something like that? Monoma. I guess anything to do with Izuku they're just not going to get us involved with. The brunette looked somewhat worried, like certain girls, at how the fight was going without knowing why they felt that way until they saw how the Nomu managed to land a blow with enough power to send him flying, but not to a safe place since a piece of iron ended up going through his stomach on the right side, causing the young man to spit blood, all while the Nomu launched himself against him, but the boy managed to take out the same piece of metal to take it and hit the Nomu in the face, sending him flying against some machines, something that he took advantage of to throw the same bar that stuck in the chest of the creature that gave a roar of pain. Izuku. Now you're going to feel what it's really like to be destroyed. At that the Nomu only took out his weapons to point them at the young man, which he fired all at the same time, causing him to fly into pieces, or so they made everyone think, since they saw how all the fire-like lasers began to get smaller, entering the body of the young man who barely accumulated all that power. He only stayed with his head down for a few moments until he launched himself against the Nomu, taking him by the head followed by slamming him against the floor, only for that in his hand, that power that he managed to have thanks to the creature began to gather, only to give it all fully in the same Nomu, causing a huge explosion to end up surprising everyone by such a thing, hoping that there would be a clear winner of the matter, until the smoke was leaving to see an Izuku spitting blood. Kneeling on the floor in his base state while the Nomu only his hand remained. Reporter. It seems that the former student Izuku has managed to win the fight, but he looks wounded. It really didn't seem like it was easy for him, and the heroes are not that far away. Izumi. Then they're going to catch him. Hendo. But I can't understand it, he's really against the League of Villains. Some people couldn't understand this until they saw on the news how he stood up right after seeing the reporters. Izuku. Damn, I hate it when they have to record me, these miserable idiots are very annoying, and the heroes are approaching, I must leave as soon as possible. But that he began to run away from the place, causing them to lose him from that point on, making the class think about what was happening, and at the same time if they were going to catch him, since the young man was injured, and it was going to be much easier. Chapter 9. At the academy they were only trying to get something good out of all the bad things they were going through, being that right now they were only doing some internships when a certain group of girls, 3 to be more exact, went to a place where there were some children living with their family. Notice in this fic the things on the island with 9 did not happen like the rest. Amy. Why did they send us to this place? Momo. Well, it is assumed that there is at least one young man who is in trouble because he leaves his house for hours and no one knows where he goes, but he always comes back. Hendo. I don't understand what's wrong with it, although I suppose in the end it will be good to take care of some children. Amy. Yes, they are the best in the world. They arrived at a house where they knocked on the door, waiting for someone to open it. She was a little girl. Her hair was like Kami's, apart from having it in 2 pigtails down, a white hat with a red bow, white sandals and a small light pink dress that left her arms exposed. Girl. Are these the girls they sent about my brother's issue? Amy. You seem well informed. Girl. My name is Maharo and my brother is Katsuma, I guess I can introduce them. But that they walked to the boy's room, noticing that in the photos he had the same hair as his sister, a cream hat with light blue and sky blue tones, light blue sandals like a blue farmer's suit apart from a white short-sleeved shirt. Amy. And why does your brother run away? Maharo. Very often, whenever she leaves she takes some food, I don't understand why she does it, but well, I guess that's why they sent them. Hendo. And they didn't try to ask him? Maharo. He doesn't want to say anything about it. Momo. And it's better that we don't go to his room, I can see that he's already leaving. Saying that they saw him walk away through the backyard with some food, causing the girls to start following him, noticing how he was moving too far away from their face, and they reached the foot of a mountain where the boy was going to follow, if it weren't for the fact that he heard something. Hendo. Hey wait little one, don't go any further. Katsuma. Who are they? Momo. Don't worry, we're good, we don't want to hurt you, that's for sure. Katsuma. Well, but I don't know why they're chasing me. Amy. We do it for your own good, since we were told that you always leave your house with food for hours and come back after a while, that makes your family worry about you. Katsuma. I'm just helping my older brother, nothing more than that. By saying that I managed to confuse the girls who had doubts even more. Hendo. Did they have an older brother? Momo. No, the report didn't say anything about that. At that they heard a sound of footsteps only to see how a bear was coming down the mountain along a path, too big to be honest, causing the girls to stand in front of the young man. Amy. We need to get him away from that animal now. Hendo. I'll take care of that, but I don't think this is good. The bear only launched itself at full speed against them, but as soon as it was in front of the girls it stopped instantly as it fell to the ground, as it tried to hit them with its claws, or bite them all, while something began to drag it backwards, causing the animal to try to resist using its claws, but it was impossible, a greater force was taking it down that path, and they couldn't see it because of the size of that animal. Amy. What just took him? Katsuma. He's my older brother, please don't come, he might be a little scary. Saying that, they began to walk away, only going up that mountain path, noticing the trail of blood left by the animal. Momo. And why are you approaching this? It seems dangerous. Katsuma. It's just that he always protects me from many bad things every time I come to the forest and he's right in that part. They noticed how part of the body of that bear was found that did not enter until a blood-stained hand with claws appeared from the cave, taking a part of the animal to take it inside, only for the boy to go with a smile to leave the food, making them see how a bloody hand took an apple, only for the girls to be on guard. Amy? No big deal, but I want you to get away from that part right now. Itsuma. Wait, don't attack him, he's good, although it's scary, you might come and see him. Saying that, they were only able to notice how in a deep part of the cave, despite the darkness, they managed to notice that it was that green-haired boy from the beginning who had been causing so many problems, causing them to take the boy to try to leave taking a few steps, but the young man managed to break free. Momo. Don't get close to him, he may be more dangerous than you think. Itsuma. You don't need to tell me, I know it's Izuku that everyone is looking for, but he's really good. Kendo. You don't know anything about him, it's better that you come with us. Itsuma. At least let me explain it. Kendo. Okay, but tell the truth about how you met him. In this way the young man began to be able to explain things to him. Flashback. The Kitsuma was running through the mountain with a smile as usual until he noticed how there were steps inside a cave, making him have more doubts when he heard a noise from that part. Kitsuma. Is there anyone in there? From one moment to the next those fearsome eyes were seen in the darkness by the child who was scared and began to back away a little, but when he was close to the edge, a part of it ended up breaking, causing him to be about to fall, but he was taken by the arm by the young man with green hair who just lifted him up. Izuku. Hey, don't walk near the edge, it can be very dangerous. I left him on the floor so he could see him from head to toe, recognizing him from the news, only to start running as fast as possible. Kitsuma. He really is a bad man, I must leave before he catches me. He was barely close, as if it were the worst luck for the child, a pack of wolves just stared at him like two villains who seemed to be the ones who trained the animals. Villain 1. Look, it's a child. Villain 2. I guess we can try to feed our boys, they're hungry. Villain 1. Although he looks very skinny, but well, something is better than nothing. They let go of the animals that were about to go against him, making him close his eyes, but he only managed to hear a brief sound of fighting, only for when he opened them, he noticed the young man who was in front of him, and both the wolves and the villains disappeared. Izuku. Hey Brad, are you okay? Kitsuma. Yes, I'm fine, nothing happened to me. Izuku. Okay, now go back home carefully, the forest is not a safe area for children. He said this as he began to walk down the mountain, followed little by the boy, who had barely arrived when he noticed how he sat on the floor, leaning his back against a wall, so that his stomach would make noise, followed by the boy returning shortly after with some food, entering the cave. Kitsuma. Hey, sir. Izuku. What do you want? I'm busy if you don't mind. Kitsuma. I just brought him some food as thanks for saving me. Izuku. I don't care about your food and don't confuse things either, those villains were nearby and I was in a bad mood, so it was luck now I don't want to see you. Kitsuma. But sir you. Izuku. Aren't you listening? I told you to go away, I'm still in a bad mood and do it before I want to kill you. But that he left the place and after a while he was returning noticing how the food he brought on a plate was no longer there, while the young man was training a little making the boy have a smile to take the plate and while the days passed rain, day, night. Everything did not matter the boy went and arrived to keep some company to the young man who having no other choice, could only accept that he stay for a certain time. End of flashback. Kitsuma. Since then, every time I was in the forest, he saved me from animals or bad people, and even though he didn't want me to bring him things, he ended up accepting them, albeit reluctantly, but he was hungry. He took care of everything like an older brother, that's why I call him that way. Faced with her story of how she managed to meet the young man, apart from the time she spent with him, they were left thinking about such a thing. Momo. So he takes care of you no matter what, I really didn't expect that. Kendo. And now you bring medicine to this place. Kitsuma. It's just that a few days ago I noticed that he had a wound on his body and he was very tired, he refused to let me take him to a doctor or bring someone, so I started to bring him some things for him to recover, but he just didn't use them. But that they approached the cave where the young man was lying with his back turned, but although most of his wounds had healed, others had not healed as much as the more serious ones. Momo. Do you think the same as me? Amy. I honestly don't know what you're thinking. Momo. I guess we can help him a little. Kendo. But we can be called traitors for doing this. Momo. I know, but there are still things I can't understand and we need to have the chance to get answers. Saying that he began to take the medicine things like the girls, only to enter the cave where the boy was the one who got closest to the green-haired young man, being literally the closest to him. Kitsuma. Big brother I'm really sorry. Izuku. First I already told you not to call me that, second I don't understand why you feel that way and third, I'm trying to get some sleep. Pitsuma. They followed me, but these people want to help you. Saying that, the young man immediately stood up despite his injuries to be on guard when he saw the UA girls in front of him making things worse. Izuku. Those miserable ones, then they come for a fight, I don't think they can beat me to be honest. Momo. We don't want to fight, just try to relax. Izuku. Yes, of course I'm going to do it like an idiot, you better prepare yourselves because I don't plan on having mercy on you. Pitsuma. Please don't fight, your wounds are ugly, I really don't want you to have a bad time. The young man stared at him and let out a moan of pain from his wounds, causing him to spit out some blood, only to see himself followed by the girls thinking about everything. Izuku. You don't know how much I hate all of you, but just this once I will allow my wounds to heal, no more than that, understood? Pay me? If you just try not to kill us in the process. Izuku. And don't you guys try to put a tracker or something on my progress. But that the girls just approached carefully to try to heal his wounds, causing him to have slight moans of pain because of it. Pitsuma. Are you angry with me for this? He said this when he noticed the young man's angry look, because even though that was his normal look, he was able to recognize when he was angry and when he wasn't. The boy, seeing how the boy was about to cry, just looked at the girls so he had no other choice. Izuku. Of course I'm not mad at you, you just did what you always wanted, nothing more than that, now don't cry, it's annoying when that happens. The girls noticed how he became soft with the young man to look at him a little, being noticed by him. Izuku. What are you guys looking at? You better not be doing anything about those wounds. He said this while his gaze was set on the girls who only kept their distance in order to heal him. Chapter 10. The young man was staring at the girls trying to avoid any of their movements that could be dangerous or go against him, being that he only remained firm in the face of any type of thing, despite the fact that those wounds were hurting him quite a bit with everything that was happening. Momo. I hope you don't mind if we ask you a few questions. Izuku. Your mere presence in front of me bothers me, so you must understand that I'm really not okay at all, and I doubt your questions can bother me anymore. Hendo. Why did you betray us? Izuku. And here we go again, I didn't betray you but on the contrary, you turned your back on me. Hendo. But there is evidence that proves you were friends with the villains. At that the young man could only get up, clearly angry at such a thing, as he only stared at them. Izuku. Let's get this straight, a pretty important case about this with you all, I had friends, family, enough money to live, I had everything I always wanted in my life, something I could trust, but what about some simple tests and you guys turned against me, what a good friend I am with the villains, don't you think? I simply killed the League of Villains which ruined my life, what a good friend I am. Momo. We get it, just try to sit up, your wounds are opening up. The young man, despite feeling how his wounds were open, could only let out a moan of pain, although he hid it with his anger as he was about to advance, but the wounds on his body were enough to make him fall to his knees on the floor, beginning to take gasps for air in front of the girl's gaze. Hendo. We haven't finished treating your wounds yet, you can't do something like that. The girl was about to help him, but the young man prevented her from touching him, only to make her start walking with one hand cupping the bleeding area, while the other leaned against the wall. Izuku. I don't need your help, am I a monster or don't you remember? I just need to go on for myself when I don't matter, I went through much worse things when they locked me up. The young man barely managed to get out of the cave, Kitsuma just looked at him as he bled. Kitsuma. Brother, you feel unwell. Izuku. Don't worry little one, I'll recover soon, just try to stay safe and remember that I'll always be behind you. The boy just watched as his older brother left while the girls doubted more that the young man could be that monster or traitor. Momo. I think it's better to see if Izuku really is a villain because I really doubt it. Hendo. I think the same thing happens, he can't be a villain with the way he is. The girls looked at this only to see the blood stains on the floor, making them determined to heal their wounds, and they began to go after him, while in one part of the forest, the young man was just walking wounded without doing anything about it to lean against a tree. Izuku. Damn, they really are annoying although I can't understand why they didn't call the heroes, instead they helped me, this type of things make less sense. The young man was thinking about that until he noticed how a large amount of fire was going after him, causing him to raise his hand and begin to absorb it little by little until nothing was left seeing the person who did that. Abi. Too bad, it seems I really didn't manage to take you by surprise. Izuku. As if you could do such a thing you piece of shit. The young man got up with difficulty to get into a combat stance, but there was a problem anyway. Dabi was not completely stupid, and he knew well that if his quirk did not work, then he had something else up his sleeve, making him barely dodge a cut from Spinner, who tried to kick him that he managed to block, but was sent crashing into one of the trees, so that he spit blood although he could not catch. His breath because he directly dodged a stomp from Inomu and barely managed to compose himself. He had to put his arms cross, avoiding a direct hit from the same one that sent him through 4 trees in a row. Spinner. If it weren't for the fact that he fought against Inomu from before, we would have problems against him right now. Abi. Yes, but now that we are in front of him we can finish off his body, or better yet, we will take him with us. Inomu was about to launch itself again, but a mist appeared in front of it, making the young man appear to be in a combat stance, as if nothing had happened, confusing the creature until a bullet ended up going through its head from eye to eye, causing it to stagger a little, until a giant fist from Kendo ended up hitting it squarely, completely destroying it. Kendo. I absolutely hate this stuff. Momo. Are you okay? Izuku. I don't know why you're interested in that, I'm supposed to be your enemy. Amy. Let's say we can partly believe that you are innocent, that's why we are helping you. Izuku. A little late to believe. At that they heard applause from the villain where he simply showed a smile as if it were nothing. Abi. So they were able to avoid a lot of things from what I can see, they even realized too late the truth that he's innocent. Izuku. Until you confess, you miserable bastard. Spinner. Yes, but the thing is that no one will believe that he is truly innocent, no matter how much they tell them all this, they will hold it against them. Abi. Because of the pity for having that monster that used my flames to partially recover, we can't fight much, no matter how many Nomas we bring. Spinner. They were saved for now. She said this as they began to leave the place through a portal, the 4 of them staring at this, until Izuku fell to the floor due to his injuries. After a while he was waking up little by little trying to get up, but some hands were placed on top of him, being that girl who was previously in another academy. Amy. If you try to get up you're only going to get worse. Izuku. I guess so, but I still have to do it, I have to see if the children are okay. Momo. No need, your father arrived just in time for them to stay with him, now they are just trying to get better, especially Kitsuma seeing how you left. Izuku. Damn it, I have to go after those villains. The young man just wanted to get up, but it was difficult for him. Momo. You better not do it, if you try to do something like that you'll only hurt yourself more than before. Izuku. How I hate this kind of things. Kendo. Well at least it was on time, I know it doesn't work at all, but we're sorry. Izuku. What are you talking about now? Amy. Well we thought you were a traitor, so we were like that until a few hours ago we wanted to decide whether to help you or not, if we help you then it would mean that you were not a traitor for us, otherwise you were. Momo. Luckily, by doing so we were able to find you in time to prevent the villains from taking you away. Izuku. I see, although as I said before, they thought a little late because now I really am a monster that no one can simply take care of as if it were nothing. Amy. But we saw how you were with Kitsuma, you have the opportunity to show people that you are not a monster. Izuku. Is this a joke? Did you see everything I did, how I look in the dark, how I scare people, all those I killed with my own hands, my escape, the massacre, everything I did simply leaves 2 things to understand, the first is that they changed me completely, they made me different from what I was before, and the second I am no longer human. I am just a creature that has nothing more than an enormous thirst for blood. Momo. I guess we have no choice but to wait for you to relax until you can know deep down that you are a monster. Kendo. Before we leave we need to know something important. Izuku. I hope it's not something to try to destroy me. Momo. We want to know if you plan on going after the doctor who did this to you. Izuku. Well, clearly sooner or later I plan to go after him so I can end his miserable life. Momo. Then we ask you not to go please. Izuku. What are you talking about? Kendo. He said he has a weapon that he carries with him at all times, which is the only thing capable of killing you or destroying you completely, as long as you don't try dangerous things again. Izuku. So he has such a powerful weapon in his hands, I guess I can take it as a disadvantage, but I think if I remember correctly, he mentioned something about how he originally created a weapon capable of doing that to me, but at the same time if that same weapon is capable of giving me greater power, because it is related to my potential like everything else I have. Momo. What do you plan to do in that case? Izuku. I have no choice but to go after that person. Those were his words as he stood thinking, on the other side was the League of Villains in front of the man who led them, while Tamura was alone on a stretcher. All for one. I want to know everything they have. Abi. Well, we tried to go after Izuku as much as possible, but in doing so we failed, some UA students believe in his innocence, and protected him at a time when we almost managed to take him. All for one. Wow that's bad, although I imagine you told them the truth. Abi. I'm afraid so, my lord. Unfortunately, I did. I just wanted to see if what you told me was true. If you believed in your innocence, or if we could play with it a little more. All for one. Makes sense though I guess we have to have a way to capture it. Toga. I wish I had it right now so I could take that body he has so it could be mine. All for one. Unfortunately, my body is still recovering from certain damage, and Tamura has attacks from his quirk that end up partially damaging him. That is a great disadvantage that we have on our side unfortunately. Spinner. Although we must advance our plans sooner or later, we cannot remain still as if nothing were happening, as long as it were like statues. All for one. We beat the heroes because we were like statues, we must do something similar, and even our strength as the heroes recovers little by little. Abi. But none of them have a demon as powerful as Izuku, we need to bring him in one way or another, otherwise things could end up pretty badly for all of us. All for one. All in good time. At that they heard someone trying to make noise, Tamura was beginning to open his eyes little by little, looking at the entire room. Abi. Until the ugly sleeping girl wakes up. Spinner. Wasn't it Sleeping Beauty? Abi. Is there something beautiful about that? All for one. Let's get this over with once and for all. He said this as they began to be able to inform the villains of the matter, all while the girls finished bandaging Izuku, who only went to sleep, but with his body prepared for anything that was done against him, all in front of some girls who only watched as he was sleeping. Momo. Now how can we make the rest understand that he is innocent? Kendo. I don't know, I really wish I had a way, but they really hate it, it's not going to be easy for this kind of thing. Amy. But we will find a way to do it, I don't think this kind of thing is easy. Kendo. I guess it's true, we have no choice but to find a way to find something good and try to see how we can do it. Amy. I think if we help him it will be progress at least. Momo. That's true, that must be progress to know that he can trust us again. They said this while looking at the young man who was just sleeping without making any noise, but his body attentive to everything. Chapter 11. Days passed since Izuku began to be healed by the girls, who were only trying to take care of him apart from Kitsuma, who was only visiting his brother as he should be. Now the three girls were in a place waiting for others, especially since the people they were waiting for arrived, being the old group with whom they hung out. Hiroshima. Why did they call us? Tesu. I thought we disbanded this group because it reminded us of the traitor. Sai. That's right, this doesn't make sense to be honest. Kendo. We must tell you something of extreme importance, and no matter what happens you really need to remain calm no matter what, do not leave until we finish saying everything we did in our internship, do not try to attack us or anything like that. Shinso. I guess we have no choice but to listen to them, but well, just try to tell it because calling all of us seems like a serious matter. Momo. When we went we had to see the issue of a child who went into the forest with food and took hours and hours to return home, they assigned us to find out what was happening. Mina. It doesn't sound so bad. Momo. Not much but now comes the most important matter. Amy. A bear tried to attack us at the foot of the mountain, but something grabbed it from behind to take it with it. When we tried to see what it was, since Kitsuma called him older brother, it turned out to be Izuku all this time. At this point, those present became serious because they did not imagine that the girls would encounter such a threat. Hiroshima. Why didn't they call support? Kendo. It could have killed us, but this changed us completely. Amy. The boy found him injured because he saved him from some villains, since then he brought him food and things to heal him, but Izuku refused to receive his help, although with the passage of time, he managed to become fond of Kitsuma, which was like the old Izuku apparently. Tesu. But it can be a very big trap even if it doesn't seem like it. Momo. We thought that but when Izuku tried to get away from us despite his injuries, the League of Villains attacked him and tried to kidnap him, and in doing that we found something we never thought was true. The League of Villains Dabi to be more direct, revealed the truth that they gave false evidence, they made us believe that he was a traitor in short. Mina. So what happened? Kendo. Well, we only saw that it was true, and he also gave us clear reasons to believe that he really wasn't a traitor. Shinso. Those words better be good. Momo. It was simple, it doesn't make sense that someone who has a good economic and social level, friends, family, power, a secure future, everything he always wanted and suddenly betrays us, it doesn't make sense, apart from when we said that he was a friend of the villains, his words became more credible. Amy. Friends, those who ruin his life by lying to the rest so that in the end he would start killing them little by little one by one slowly, in truth if those are friends, then he doesn't know what enemies are. Those present looked at their companions as they gave good reasons why they were not really lying about what happened. Tesu. And what happened? Amy. We healed his wounds, and when we wanted to see what he was going to do, whether to attack us to get revenge, he just left us alone, he didn't do anything against us, although he kept his distance from us the whole time. Sai. Well, it's quite credible if we think about it. I mean, his reasons are true, but the evidence is something else. I really don't know which side to be on. Hiroshima. Well, I think we should be able to decide well, if we accept that he is a traitor even if it is the opposite, then that means that we can end up in the worst possible way against him, but if we believe that he is innocent, there are possibilities that the UA will be against us. Momo. There's no need to tell the rest of the academy, we're telling you because you're the ones we trust the most regarding this matter. Shinso. I see, but it seems like they have a plan. Pendo. We were thinking and there is a way to help Izuku secretly, he only wants to eliminate evil and nothing else, so we have no choice but to do just that. Hiroshima. We'd like to see it a little to see if it's true. Pendo. That's not possible, he really hates UA, luckily he didn't want to do anything to us because of how close we were to him, and it seems that he still has good parts, therefore he's just keeping his distance for the moment, but with you he can definitely attack. Shinso. That kind of thing makes sense, but we need to know how to help him. Momo. We make sure of that kind of thing, we can't say for now but you'll know later. The group could only nod their heads while on the other hand there was someone watching the entire conversation that was happening with the group through a camera. Doctor. So they really think they're coming to him to help him, I guess I have to have a plan for that kind of thing, I can't trust myself with my best experiment. He said this while touching his fairly large pure metal briefcase, but he just looked at him with a smile, as he expected a good result, while on the other side, Izuku was looking at the dark sky with its stars, all while Kitsuma was at his side eating an apple. Kitsuma. Big brother, I don't understand why you kill the bad guys when the heroes lock them up. Izuku. Well, I think it's time to tell you a part of my life, before I was one of the heroes, but at a certain point I was in danger because they really wanted to kill me, but what happened was a real problem when they tried to kill me. Kitsuma. And what happened then? Izuku. I could only live with luck, but the worst of all was when they literally sent me to a laboratory where they almost took away my humanity, they tortured me in every possible way like you have no idea. Since then I developed a great hatred towards heroes, especially because I was beginning to see the truth. Kitsuma. What do you mean, the truth? Izuku. There are villains who are born from the pain of a discriminatory society, other people who abuse their power, others who take advantage of others, those people can be redeemed, but others like Muscular, Dabi, Tamura, all for one, have no salvation, no matter how much you lock them up, the best thing is to end their lives before they continue killing more people. Kitsuma. But society hates you completely, nobody wants to have you in this place, there is no point in you continuing to save people. Saying that the young man laughed as he went to take him in a hug using only one arm while wearing a smile. Izuku. Even though they tortured me and made me literally live in hell for a long time, a part of me still wants to stop the evil, that's why I have no choice but to stop those people. I have no choice but to do this, and thanks to me doing this, I'll be able to save you in the same way. He said it with a smile towards the boy who only looked surprised with a star in his eyes towards the young man of how despite being like a demon or monster, he still had human parts in his being that he almost never showed. Kitsuma. You are impressive, you really are a great person, big brother. Izuku. Well, it's best to get you back home before they start worrying about your true self. He said this as the boy climbed onto his back and jumped away from the place, since he was only going through the forest as much as possible, in order to do the best he could, while in a place by All Might's offices, the muscular man looked at the sighting photos, as reports about the green-haired man. All Might. Do you know why I called you to this place? Those words were to three people, on one side where the light was shining was Rappa sitting in front of the desk with handcuffs, the second one who was in the other corner was Lady Nagant, and in the middle towards the back being half of her body covered by the darkness, only seeing her legs stretched out like arms with muscles, apart from being smoking was a man. Rappa. Not really, because we're supposed to be locked up as soon as possible. Lady Nagant. It's true, we should do the same thing since you caught us except for the one in the back who only came because you called him. All Might. My reasons are that I need you to catch the young man in these photos, his name is Izuku, only Izuku, he is an experiment and a prisoner who is outside the place that we completely do not know how to catch him, heroes cannot do illegal things, but you can do it. Rappa. Then you need us to catch him. All Might. More than catching him, they have permission to kill him as soon as possible. Lady Nagant. What do I gain from this? All Might. Your freedom, I caught them secretly therefore there are no reports or anything that can prove otherwise, so I need that if they catch you or kill you, then I will set you free, otherwise I will lock you up. Rappa. What makes you think we'll listen to you? All Might. Well, when I knock them unconscious, I put chips in them to make them explode in case they don't pay attention, and I'll be watching their every move, and if it's not me, then it's other people. At that point I heard someone spit something out, causing a cigarette to crash against a man's desk and then pass to one side of it, landing in a trash can. Man. You forgot something, you have to give me something in return if you want me to take care of a child, or at least give me reasons why I want to go after him. All Might. And I have them for sure. This young man is only an experiment in a laboratory designed to be the most dangerous weapon in the world ever seen, which is called the strongest of all. Man. So you're saying that he thinks he's much better than me? I guess this is something totally new that I've never seen with my own eyes before, and I'm very interested. I think you got a deal, but I'm only going to take care of it if these two can't do anything about it. All might. I think that's a good thing that way, in case they can't then you'll go after him. I'll keep you informed of any possible movement. Man. Okay, I'm leaving with that. He said this as he began to get up to start walking towards the door through which he passed, and as some employees saw him leave, they were just surprised and scared of the person who managed to leave. Rappa. Well then we should start with the wedding if you don't mind. All might. You may begin now. In this way, he gave her some documents, copies of which they left without anyone seeing them, being on the roof of a building. Lady Nagant. It seems that this young man is more dangerous than he seems. We must be more careful than I thought, since with or without darkness, he is capable of killing anyone just by listening to his breathing. He can heal some of his wounds, and many more abilities that he possesses, which truly make him something never seen before. Rappa. I guess that means a temporary alliance if I'm not mistaken. Lady Nagant. Well, I'm afraid we'll have no choice but to do just that, since these types of people are truly a living danger. Rappa. Let's not say any more, let's go after this young man and see what he's capable of doing before someone else ends up stealing from us the best fight of possibly my entire life. He said this while the woman just looked at him and gave herself a light slap on the head for his childish attitude. Chapter 12. It was just the weekend, and the green-haired young man was just doing some push-ups on top of the mountain, with some giant rocks behind him, with which he was only trying to get stronger, but he noticed how some people were starting to climb, Kitsuma being the girls for such a thing. Izuku. Now what the hell do you want? Momo. We just came to see how you were, you know, because of your injuries. Izuku. I'm fine, there's no need to worry about me, I thought I made that clear a long time ago. Kendo. I don't plan on leaving you like that anyway, you did a lot of damage once, it can happen again. Izuku. It's best that you stay away from me, I don't plan on having your help in any way possible. Kendo. You can still get hurt again and we are the closest thing you have to help. Izuku. And I thought I'd make it clear that I don't need it. The group just looked at each other, while the young man just maintained his firm stance, until as if it were like a giant truck hitting his body, he ended up luckily dodging a bullet that was headed for his face, causing everyone to just look at this all, while the young man just crouched down, trying to see where it came from until he again had to dodge another bullet, but this time he noticed its origin. Momo. What was that? Izuku. Surely someone who wishes to die. But that he began to run towards where the bullets came from, while at the source someone just looked upset. Lady Nagant. Damn, it was a perfect shot that had no flaws, but she managed to dodge it. Rappa. Well, he's supposed to have great instincts, maybe that's what made him move on his own to avoid the bullets. Lady Nagant. You're going to like this, it'll be before us soon. The man showed a smile at this as he expected a good result when he noticed how a person approached between the trees, only for him to deliver a punch that collided with another fist of the green-haired man, making a small wave. Izuku. So Rappa, former member of the 8 Precepts of Death, and the former heroine Lady Nagant are after me. In that, he dodged another bullet from the woman by jumping back where he stared at them. Lady Nagant. Don't take it personally, boy, All Might sent us after you, we have to accept it, you're good at this kind of things. Rappa. And I'm excited. Izuku. Surely he offered you his freedom in exchange for my head, but you better than anyone should know that in the end he will betray you. Lady Nagant. It's a shame that we know about that, but we have no other choice, he put explosives on our necks, so that if we don't do what he asks of us, then he will kill us immediately. At that the young man sharpened his gaze, noticing a small red dot on each one. Izuku. I see, then they are just more puppets forced to do what they are told, I guess I have no choice but to kill them. Rappa. If it is that way then come with everything you have. Saying that, the young man launched himself against her to clash fists with each other again, keeping the strength between the two fighters, only to continue doing the same thing more times without stopping one against the other, but he noticed how the woman tried to hit him with her bullets, that he barely managed to dodge little by little, keeping more distance. And in the end he showed a smile despite everything. Izuku. Come on, don't tell me that's all you have. But that Rappa jumped to fall on top of him, where he managed to put his arm stopping the blow, fully breaking the same ground, being that the young man went to take him by the arm to slam him against the ground, beginning to drag him along it to break it and throw him to crash into some trees, only to dodge some shots from Lady Nagant, who was trying to do everything possible to hit him, noticing how He was a really dangerous prey with great skills, being that he himself launched himself against the woman who in the end only looked at this to try to aim the gun at her, but the young man took advantage of the distance to take the rifle and use it to kick the woman, causing her to be sent against some trees. The boy thought to continue but barely managed to block in time a blow from Rappa that made him back off enough to leave a mark on the ground. Lady Nagant. How is he so strong? Between the two of us we could have defeated the Nomu he faced, but now it's a different story. Rappa. I am so surprised at how you are right now. I cannot understand what is happening with this young man. He is truly a different case from the rest of the people we managed to see or meet. Izuku. It seems like they didn't tell them anything about it. Lady Nagant. What are you talking about? Izuku. It is true that I can heal on my own, but however, if I do not heal on my own using my quirk, then all the damage received in battle will make me even stronger than before. That way all my power works. That is why now I am much stronger, and I will defeat them. Rappa. I'd like to see that right now. I'm not going to give up until I drop dead. Izuku. If you want that, then you leave me no other choice. They noticed how a dark mark began to appear on their forehead as their eyes turned into black pupils with a deep purple center, only for it to disappear from their sight as they began to jump around these same ones that they placed back to back. Rappa. Increased his speed completely. Lady Nagant. I am not able to read his movements. This is certainly something I have never seen before in my entire life. Rappa. If we don't do something right now, he'll kill us both equally. They were trying to find a way to attack the young man if possible, and at one point he passed between the two of them, causing them to separate and fall to the floor, only for them to get up and try to see where the young man was, but a killer instinct alerted them behind them, causing them to break out in a cold sweat as they turned their gaze little by little. Noticing a shadow with red eyes that was near them, having claws, only to pass by them, surprising them with his speed, while blood began to come out of his neck, all while the young man stopped. Izuku. They're not doing bad at all. They really surprise me. The two of them would have died with this, but they decided to face me. I guess they won't need this. They saw how a small eye appeared in one of his hands that had that dark matter, but when it went out the young man let it fall to the floor as pieces of metal, causing them to touch their necks, noticing that they had blood, but more importantly, the place where the explosives were. Lady Nagant. How did you do that? Izuku. I noticed a spot on his neck with a red color, so I just attacked that part. Rappa. You avoided killing us every time you had the chance. Izuku. And I didn't kill them, they were just All Might's puppets, something that I know how it feels and how liberated they are now. If they go north they will find a boat, in that place many people hate All Might as they do the heroes, they help with traffic and other things, they can go to those parts if they want as long as they leave as soon as possible. Lady Nagant. You help us too young, I can't understand why you do things like this, apart from saying that you know a way to escape from that miserable All Might, but you don't use it. Izuku. I don't do it because I have more important matters than just getting revenge on that miserable man. I have other places to go to kill certain villains. Rappa. We don't know you very well, but thank you for that. Izuku. Don't thank me, it'll just be better that way, and I don't plan on helping you anymore. Saying that he began to leave like the rest only to reach the mountain where he saw the group who just kept watching the battle from afar. Amy. What was that all about? Izuku. Just All Might's puppets, trying to kill me with villains. Hendo. So he made a deal with villains to kill you, that can't be possible, something like that doesn't make sense. Izuku. As much as I don't like that kind of thing, unfortunately that's how it works, if you try to do something like this, your turn to suffer will come. Momo. But you said you only attack villains. Izuku. And I do. All Might claims to be a hero by far, but he tried to kill me and at the same time betray me without seeing a fair side apart from the villains who made the deal with All Might for this did not want to do it because yes, I had them threatened with explosives to their necks inside their skin, therefore I had to take them out. If the villains don't do that then I have no idea what does. The entire class just watched such an act noticing how he told the whole truth. The green-haired man was only trying to keep the peace and show everyone that the heroes were not saints, but among them were wolves dressed as sheep, all the while walking firmly, keeping his words regardless of what people might think of him. While on the other side All Might ended up receiving a message to see how his supposedly dead villains were doing. All Might. So they tried to do it, but failed, that's bad, but well that leaves me with the last one who would be interested. He said this as he began to dial a number, all the while in the UA, there were certain people with photos among other things. Nezu. I can't find anything. Izawa. If we had Izuku among us maybe and just maybe we would make a breakthrough. Sniper. That's true, but unfortunately the evidence we have is not enough. Izawa. If we found some students who are able to see these tests and support us, we would have more opportunities to achieve better things, but I have no idea how we can do it. I really don't know if there is a student who thinks otherwise. Nezu. It's impossible, even Eri and Koda are against Izuku being people who were saved by him, not to mention his mother, it is impossible to find someone who believes in his innocence. Sniper. I think I have an idea, but it's not a good one at the same time. Aizawa. Everything counts now, speak whatever is on your mind. Sniper. Well, I was thinking that maybe, just maybe, we could try going with a villain to find proof that Izuku is innocent despite everything bad. Nezu. Did you hit your head before coming? Sniper. No, just listen to this, I've never told anyone before for the simple important reason that it was actually a high-class secret, but I know someone who is within the League of Villains, he owes me a huge favor, and I know how to achieve something of that size. Nezu. Are you serious? Sniper. Yes, I'm serious, I know a way to prove his innocence, and it is through this villain, but it won't be easy, I have to go alone because no one has seen my face unlike him. Aizawa. If it turns out to be something that can help us in this, then go get that person if necessary, you must bring him as soon as possible if we want to have the opportunity to prove his innocence. And that they heard what they least wanted. The door being opened to see how members of Class B and A entered. Hiroshima. We heard their whole plan of what they want to do. Mina. And I think we have information about something that could possibly be useful to them about Izuku with a League of Villains that they themselves said. These were his words as the heroes watched this thinking about everything they had with this opportunity. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching, if you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day, bye.